Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Triple B Show.
Yes, we're here. We're 2 minutes early, and I've got a super guest coming tonight. He's a boxing man through and through, everything, promoter, trainer, columnist. He can tell you more about this. So we're going to bring him on now. I'm 2 minutes early, but I'm sure no one's going to cry. So let's bring in Mark Massow from, I've got the boxing club, Mark Massow Boxing. You can see it here online. And it's sweetsciencestudio.com. So make sure you have a look if you want to train. So here we go. Bring in Mark Massow here. Great to see you, brother.
Hello, yeah, good to speak to you.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yourself?
Well, it's great to see you. Fantastic. After we talked about this, but now you're on here.
That's it.
I did a little intro, but it's probably better for you to tell everyone about your life in boxing and everything and what you do.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I'm now based just outside Chelmsford, near Chelmsford City Racecourse.
Nice.
Got my own little setup there in a little village called Great Leys. I've just got my own little setup there. I used to have a bigger gym in Chelmsford town centre,
Right.
but there was a lot going on, so it wasn't just boxing. Although I was only involved in the boxing side,
Right.
there was a lot more going on, and really there was a lot more going on there that I was responsible for, but had nothing to do with. So when all the sort of changes happened a number of years ago, my lease was up, and it gave me an excuse really to downsize and just do my own thing. So now
you're the boss man. You're the boss man.
Yes, it's just me there now. It's a lot easier to run. Any pros that are with me, I've only got one active professionals with me at the moment. But
his name is
Peter Merger.
That's right. Is he called the Gypsy? He calls himself...
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Where's he from? What's his background?
He's from Essex. The family's originally from Poland, but they've settled in Essex, and he makes the journey over to me. He's won a couple of area titles. He's doing all right.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's only small, so he's a bantamweight.
Right. So he's won 2 titles at 2 different weights, has he?
Yeah, he won a super bantamweight Southern area title, and now he's got the bantamweight. And he's
I've got to show. Yeah,
bantamweight.
Sorry, I just have to show it to everyone. This is a bad boy picture. This is my man. Look at it. I had to put that in the intro, mate. Look at that bad boy. You don't mess with someone who looks like that, do you? You don't mess with someone who looks like that.
That's on a night out. I don't get many of them these days.
You like cigars?
Occasionally. I'm not that big into it. I've got a mate who's into them a bit. So whenever we meet up, we try and have one. Right.
No, I don't really smoke. These are little cigarillos. I quite like to have one on the show. Yeah. You can buy them in 10s as well, which is like they're basically just cigarettes. You know, with a little brown wrapping paper. But yeah, everybody, Henry Massow. Do you know why I knew I'd call you that? You know why? Because there's a guy called Henry Macau who's red pilled. Who writes a lot of I don't know if have you heard of him?
Yeah, I'll follow him.
So every time I think of you, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'll follow him on Twitter.
He's got a website, henrymacau.com. He's quite red pilled. Yeah. He's quite interesting. And so every time I always, even in my head, I was like, don't call him Henry. Don't call him Henry. Don't call him.
That's
I even searched for you online. I go, Henry Macau, boxing. Yeah. I was like, what?
It's a funny one because he don't sort of get a lot of followers. Not many people have heard of him, have they?
Well, he's got a good website. I just don't think he's good at promoting himself, and that's the important thing in anything, in sport, in media. You got to really promote yourself these days, don't you? Online.
Oh, I know. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I mean, and also the problem is this: if you say controversial stuff, and what the people in charge think is controversial, they will. I'm shadow banned, right? So I don't appear that easily in search listings and stuff like that. Like when I started, it went whoop, and then it started to plateau.
Yeah,
I probably have 25,000, 30,000 subs now, but it's slowed down because I don't come up often. Some people go, I don't get your notifications. I don't get. We know that they're just trying to shut down people who want to talk reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, big up the Black Caller who's got a channel. Big up Chip me in the chat. Yeah. There's always fighting going on between separate camps in the chat. What I want is, look, we've got my man Mark Massow. Now, did you box yourself?
Yeah, I boxed as an amateur for Dagenham,
right?
But it was only club level stuff. I never like went on and done anything to brag about. It was just club level stuff as a kid, and then I started work. I had a couple more. I was doing all right, but I'll tell you what it was. I had trouble with my eyes, and my eyes were playing me up, and I just had to give it up. I just had like issues with my eyes, and But at the time, the people running Dagenham, they just said to me, "Look, carry on training with us, and like just help us out." So I stayed involved with a club, but where they was all older people, eventually they wanted to give it up. They'd been involved in it for years, and they just slowly sort of drifted away. I was still there, and I ended up taking over. So sort of by default, really, the elder generation jacked it all in, and I was there, sort of one of the older hands. As much as I was only young at the time, I just started work. I was about 18,
really,
18, 19, and I just said, "Well, look, I'm still here. I'll take it on." So I ended up like going through the ABA badges, coaching badges, and taking over the club. So I ended up in 91, 92, getting me ABA qualifications, and ended up sort of being the matchmaker, the honorary secretary, the trainer. It was only a small club at the time. Since I've left, I mean, I went in the Paras in '96.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and
did you see any action, if you don't mind me asking?
We went to. I never went to war. I never sort of went to war, but I went to Northern Ireland a couple of times. That was still going on. Kosovo.
Right, I was going to say the Balkans, right?
Yeah, one para. We was sort of one of the first. We was the first lot into the Kosovo. Sierra Leone.
Oh, you went Sierra Leone?
Yeah, went there.
Wow.
And
that I've heard some very, very crazy stories about Sierra Leone. I don't. Well, I'll just tell you what I repeat. You don't have to say whether it's true or not. So, some guerrillas, or whatever you want to call them, were raping, attacking, killing, and allegedly there were some SAS guys, SS guys, and they took these guys up in a helicopter and just dashed them out. I don't know if that's true. That's an army lad.
I don't know. I mean, it might have gone, and I don't know. It weren't anything we done like that. We went out there. The role we played when I was there was a similar of like Northern Ireland. Really, we was patrolling round, trying to sort of keep the peace. They went out there again a few months later, and that got a little bit more involved.
Right.
At the time I went out there, which was early 2000. And that was a similar thing in Kosovo. We went into Kosovo, and it was to sort of try and keep the peace between the Serbs and the Albanians. But you get sent to these places, and you don't really know like the background story. You don't know the history. You're just dropped off there and told to sort of get on with it. And
you're told to do your job, really, aren't you? In the army, it's hierarchy, isn't it?
I mean, like at the time, it was a good little life to be in. Now, when you grow up and you sort of look into things and how corrupt everything is, my attitude, my take on things have changed. I mean, the way I see it is, if them people have got a problem with each other, go and sort it out. But instead, they send us, people like us. Do you know what I mean? And
well, the problem is you can't trust the high up ones. Now that's the politicians who make the decisions, and then whoever you want, the generals, the field marshals who send all the men to get waxed. And I watched so many documentaries on the First World War, man. I'm just sitting there with my mouth open about how they sent all these lads over to get like just dropped. And they didn't care. Like in the Somme, they said, right, I'll tell you what, we're going to walk really slowly. You can't fire your weapon.
Yeah.
Just have your bayonet and we're going to walk across the lines. No running. No running. You'll get shot. Why? Oh, it'll freak out the Germans and they'll probably... I mean, can you imagine that? That's just the worst tactic in the world. So the German gunners were just sitting there just going like that, hosing them down. Yeah. And I read an article about some German soldiers. We just couldn't believe it. We're like, what the hell? What are these people doing? They're just hosing down all these young lads like that.
It's a whole industry, isn't it? War. It's a whole industry.
There's a lot of money.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I had a good life in it. I've done 4 years, 96 to 2000. I was helping run the one para boxing team.
Oh, really?
I had a good life because I had sort of best of both worlds. If there was anything going on and we got sent anywhere, I went. But in between that, I was on the boxing team, so I did have a good life. But it was just something I just didn't want to do it sort of for the rest of my time, really. So
yeah,
I ended up. I got offered a job with Frank Maloney.
Oh, did you?
So I ended up working for Frank Maloney. Yeah, it's.
Was that when you had Lennox Lewis? Was that when you had Lewis?
Yes, yeah, he still had Lennox Lewis. But Lewis he had a lot of other people around him at the time. I don't know if Adrian Hogan sort of pulling the strings from memory at the time. So he was still there. Frank was still on the phone to him a lot. He was still officially the manager. He had like a say in what was going on. But a lot of other, around that time, more and more other people sort of seemed to have his ear, if you like.
Got you. I mean, he never lived in the UK, did he? As far as I know.
No.
Right. I mean, that's a problem, isn't it? You're trying to manage someone who's in Jamaica and in Canada and in America. I bumped into him. I seen him in the club a couple of times when he was over in England. He just sat there a bit awkward. He's like one of them big guys that can't dance, so he don't. He just sits there. But he's personable. But I sort of bumped into him in Miami as well.
Oh,
drinking pink champagne.
Yeah. Well.
But well, we.
Well out of it.
Yeah, you know what? You're telling me about your story. It reminds me a bit of Wilson yesterday. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? You stopped when you was juniors and then moved into the training game.
Yeah, and it was really like, as much as I was into it all, I didn't want to. I was still young and I was still a big fan of the sport. So rather than just like, I'll give it up. Yeah, I couldn't see properly, whatever. I mean, a long time after, I ended up detached retinas in both eyes.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah,
both.
A number of years apart, but I ended up losing the use of my right eye. So now I haven't got usable vision in my right eye. But I know. So but both of them actually went, but years apart.
Whoa.
But one they saved, and the other one they couldn't save. It was a bit.
Oh man, that's hard. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I mean, the eyes are so important, you know, like as organs. I'm not being funny, but you know, if there's one thing, you know, like when I hear that story about John Fury ripping that guy's eye out, I'm disgusted. I'm just like, firstly, that was over nothing. Secondly, as far as I understand, I mean, you know, they have these feuds, don't they, travellers? But I don't know about that. But to do, you know, blind someone in one eye, and he tried to get the other one out. I can't. I mean, that's a vicious, brutal thing to do.
Yeah, sounds a bit severe, doesn't it?
Yeah, a bit over the top. Well, apparently he was getting a hiding, and his ego couldn't take it. So but he's a strange one, you know, and he's a liar. Unfortunately, you know, I've done a video on it. He claimed he had 100 bare knuckle fights and 100 KOs. Now, I'm not being funny. You put anyone in 100 bare knuckle fights, they're going to lose one, at least one. You know what I mean? You know, you can't, and especially when, I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect any pro, and you know, he boxed some decent guys. Henry Akin one day, he actually beat the Italian champion, but he never stopped anyone. He never stopped anyone on the pros, but he scored 100 knockouts in bare knuckle fight. I mean, come on, man.
I've seen little clips of him. He looks like a boxer, doesn't he? He looks like a bit of a rangy sort of boxer, as opposed to someone who's going to go out there and try and knock someone out. But maybe the bare knuckles a bit different.
Well, it is very different, but it's catching on actually. BKFC and stuff. I just wanted to say before I forget, because you mentioned Sierra Leone, to everyone watching, remember, like Tony Sese. Did you know Tony Sese?
Yeah.
So he's from Sierra Leone originally, and obviously I did a video on it. So he's been struck down with motor neurone disease. There is a GoFundMe set up by Colin McMillan. I put it on the video, and there's a link there. So please give to Tony Sesse. He you know, motor neurone disease is a horrible wasting disease, and Tony's a lovely guy, man. He did, you know, he boxed internationally. He boxed at the Commonwealths. He was well known on the scene, and so God bless him. You know, that's all I'll say. But yeah, Nordic says John Fury's a thug. He is a bit of a bully and a thug. What do you think about the whole big John Fury thing?
I just think he likes the publicity. He's sort of getting another shot at publicity through his son. I mean, sometimes I don't know whether he's doing it sort of tongue in cheek or he genuinely sort of means what he's saying. Sometimes I think he's just playing a character and they're giving him airtime. And you just think, like, if he's not playing a game and he's totally like serious about how he's acting, then you know, think twice about giving him the airtime, because some of the things he comes out with, you just think, like, it's a bit unnecessary. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, he does love it because he's having a second life. It's a bit like although it's a completely different character. Like John Fisher's dad is loving it because you know, his son's, he's now got his own channel, he's got his own thing. I keep on saying, you've got to get him to lose some weight. And Johnny Fisher was on, I like Johnny Fisher, and he's still a novice. You know, people dissed him because of the Dave Allen fight, but he's still violent, he can punch, and he's a novice still, right? And you know, I'm saying, and he put up a post the other day, oh, everyone's calling my dad fat. Well, so what? He's fat, he's a lovely guy. But I'm thinking, yes, but mate, this is going to harm his health. He's not just a bit fat. He's risking his life, mate. Yeah,
he's an accident waiting to happen, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? But then, like, Johnny Fisher comes across as like a sensible bloke, doesn't he? He don't come out with any outlandish sort of comments. No. He's not like coming out with silly things. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's got.
He don't slag people off. No. You know, he's very likable. The whole family's quite likable. I love the way they get on with each other and they back him and all that. And as you know, everyone goes, he's a great ticket seller. He is, but we need that in boxing. It brings in people that wouldn't usually go to boxing. You know, there'll be some people who will see Johnny Fisher, maybe they're juniors and that, who don't box, like young, kids, and they'll be inspired to box. And we kind of need people like that, I think, in boxing.
Oh yeah, no, he's level-headed. I think he's limited at the moment, but he's improved. You know, he's a grafter, and you can tell he's improved. He's just got to stick with it really and see how far he can get. But he hasn't come out with any outlandish statements. Like everyone seems to be wanting to be a world champion nowadays. That they're sort of, unless they're talking about world titles, it's sort of it don't count. But he seems to be going about it the right way. He's just very novice at the minute.
Well, yeah, and you know, I don't know how many amateur fights he had. There's 3 on BoxRec. There might be more, but you know, he was an Exeter University rugby player. I've spoken to people who at Exeter who at him. He goes, "Yeah, he's a bit of a legend there because he went on to become a heavyweight boxer." But I don't know how good he was at rugby. But the point is, you know, he's found something. He's found something that, you know, he's reasonably good at, and he's getting a lot of money from it, and you know, he's having fun. He's a young lad, you know. There's a lot about British people, though, isn't there? They love to see a man drop, you know.
Oh yeah. I know. It's they love it, don't they? They love seeing people foul, don't they? But
it's quite weird, that, isn't it? There's a bit of jealousy there, isn't there? I've never been like that. You know what? I see people, right, that do really well in life, and I'm like, well done, bruv. And then everyone's like, oh, he's a wanker, he's this, he's that, oh, he thinks he's better. And I'm like, there are people like that, they're at wrong ends, but you know, there's a lot of that in British culture, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know, is this a British thing or is it like worldwide? I don't know what it is, but they sort of like to see someone fouled who's aspiring to get somewhere, don't they? I don't know. But I don't know if it's a British thing or just a person thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, there is that. Yeah, but I think some cultures are a bit different. Like, but you know, in America, I think in America they almost sometimes go the other way. They kind of they stick their tongue up people's asses who do well. You know? But you know, all these people that are slagging off Fisher or whatever, whoever it happens to be, if they met him, they'd probably be, "Oh, mate, I'm your biggest fan," and shaking his hand and all that. You know,
I know,
which is two-faced, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to read this comment out. Without further ado, Retro. Big John Fury picks on the smallest guy in the room. Well, I seen him bullying Carl Frampton. Like, Carl Frampton's a solid world-class boxer, world champion, and he's a very laid-back guy. And Fury was with all his mate or his family, and he's trying to intimidate this guy who weighs half as much as him. And it's like, come on, mate. Just because he said he thought Jake Paul would beat Tommy Fury, you know, and he almost did, by the way. And, you know, there's a lot of bully about John Fury. I don't like bullies. I've got to be honest with you. But yeah. So at the moment, you don't look after amateurs. You do kind of fitness training.
No, I left the amateurs. I got involved with a club in North Woolwich called Fight for Peace. It's a bit of a strange name. It originated in.
I remember that.
Yeah, do you remember the club? Yeah, and they're a good youth organisation. So, like, they're a big youth outfit. They do a lot of sort of activities around like the youth to keep them occupied and stuff like that. And I run their boxing section, if you like. And
didn't they box at Haringey? Did it have the Haringey Cup?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I remember. I was there. Yeah, I seen them.
We had when I was there, we had a young kid who won it for his age group. It was the first sort of title of any type the club had ever won, and he was a good boxer. I still keep in touch with him, but he's doing other things now. And I was there for 5 years, but I got my pro license in 2012,
right?
And just slowly sort of drifted away from the amateurs, got involved with the pro side of it. At one time, I had like half a dozen pros, but they were local ticket sellers, and it's hard for them. Do you know what I mean? It's hard. Like,
so did they? Yeah, I mean, the thing. I mean, this is what Wilson said as well, and I see it. Like, boxing has changed a lot. In the old days, you had an amateur club. The guy running the club would be working in the day, and you had carded boxers coming in, and that's it.
Yeah.
But now, there's so much money in PT and fitness training and stuff like that. That's where the money is, right? Taking on guys that want to do some proper boxing training. Maybe they got a good office job. Maybe they, you know what I mean? That there's money in that, isn't there?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's hard for the club to get the balance right, because they've got to have the people through the door paying. Not necessarily. The Fight for Peace was a different setup because they had big backers and funders. But a normal amateur club, they need the numbers paying at the door to keep the place open, but they don't want too many sort of keep fitters taking up bag space and pad time and stuff like that, because they want to be out on shows sort of representing the club. So it's a fine line all the time.
It's a balance. It's a juggling game, isn't it? I mean, I think you just have to be a bit strict at these clubs. Go, right, this is for carded boxers only during this time, and during the daytime and on Saturday, your keep fit guys can come in or whatever.
Yeah.
But on these nights, only carded amateur boxers, and and this night is juniors, this is seniors, and these are for fitness guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because if you want to compete with the best clubs, you've got to act like how the best clubs act. Like, so you can't always have it both ways. You need to find like an happy medium that keeps the club going, but the serious boxers train like serious boxers. And this used to be some of the discussions I'd have at Fight for Peace at the time. I mean, they were a good organisation, but sometimes the lines were blurred. It was a bit like, well, do we want to be a serious boxing club, or do we want to be a sort of a all-inclusive club? And it was hard to sort of get the balance right.
Were they a registered charity, or because some they are right? There are some ABA clubs are charities, aren't they? They're registered with charities. Yeah.
I mean, this Fight for Peace club. I mean, their contact list. That we had Marvin Hagler come down and visit.
No.
We had Lennox Lewis, Michael Watson, your mate Anthony Joshua. He came down just after he won the gold. Funny enough, Hagler Adams come down. And that was in the London gym, because they had two gyms. They got one in London and one in Brazil. And in
where was it in London? What part of London?
North Woolwich, behind City Airport.
Right,
right near the Woolwich Ferry. And in the Brazil gym, they had Prince Charles, David Cameron, He used to have them all, yeah, he used to have them all turned. I don't know how he got them there, but yeah.
Did any of them go on the pads?
No.
Because I see Boris Johnson trying to hit the pads, and I also see Keir Starmer's like that. Keir Starmer's like this on the pads.
Terrible.
At least Boris had a go.
Yeah, it was awful, wasn't it? But no, they've got some connections there. They're doing well as a charity, and actually, I think the boxing club's doing well now. It's been a number of years since I've been in touch with them, but I think they're doing all right.
Yeah. I just want to say, I don't know, right? Anyone here? Make sure you ask some questions. Also, put this out on your social media. I don't know why the views are quite low today, and I think it's because I've been shadow banned a bit. But we need more people. This is a great time to talk to our proper boxing man. So get your pals on. You know what I mean? We want as many people as we can. Oh, Mr. Tommy Garner's kindly give me a super shackle. £2 favour. Thank you, my brother. Best comeback since Vinny Paz. Viva the Triple. Oh, thank you, man. But today it's the Mark Massow show. So yeah, thank you very much, brother. Of course. I mean, I think you have to be a politician, don't you? These days, you've got to take it up the wrong end. It's part of the deal, man. But we don't want to talk too much about that. So what? You've only got the one pro. Remind me of his name. Verga.
Yeah, Peter Merger. He's still in the gym, but he won the Southern area, and now he's at bantamweight. He dropped down a weight. I mean, he's tall. I think he's 5'7". So there's nothing of him. Like you look at him, and he looks like he needs a good meal in him. But he's still strong at the weight, and he's fit. But there's not that many around at that weight. So really now he's looking for an English title fight. But the title's tied up in a minute because they're waiting. The champions waiting for a voluntary defence. So until he gets that one out of the way, we can't sort of push our name.
What's his record now?
He's had 11-1-8. But he's had such a. If you look at his record, he's had so few easy bouts. He's had like how many 10-rounder? He's had 11 contests. He's had I think off the top of my head, he's had 4 10-rounders, 3 6-rounders. He's only actually paid for a few journeymen. We took him out to Poland. He was in the away corner against a Polish international. We on an open air show on Polish satellite telly. We went out there and he won on points. He done really well.
No, I was just going to look at his record. How do you spell his name?
Piotr. That's his first name.
Peter, like that, Polish, yeah. Peter, and his second name, how do you spell
that? Mirga.
Right, let's have a look. No, I mean, that's not a bad record anyway, 8 from 11. Here we go, yeah. Oh, here's your man. So he's more of a boxer than a puncher by the look of things.
Yeah, he's a boxer, yeah. So, like, he hasn't really been sort of protected and built up a string of wins against journeymen to sort of build his confidence up. Where there's not many around at that weight, it was a case of he had a few wins and it was like, well, let's take our chances. And so he's had some tough bouts.
Well, he fought Nico Levars or whatever his name is.
Yes. What happened on that one? He was training for another contest, and then on the same night, with a number of weeks to go, Matchroom said, "Well, look, we can get you on this show. We'll pay you. You can come on there and box Nico Levars." And we knew we was up against it. It wasn't like we had no sort of false pretenses that we was going to go there and turn over and everything like that. But he had a realistic chance. He had a sort of, he was a live underdog.
Well, he cut him. It sounds like he cut him, right?
Yeah. I mean, the cut was terrible. It makes you wonder, like, if it was
if your man was a prospect, they probably would have stopped Levars.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bad cut. You can go back and watch it, but that Levers, he pulled one out of the bag. We was told that we was 2 rounds down with 2 to go. So if he'd had a good finish, we could have nicked a draw.
Sure.
But 9th round, he got caught with a body shot, and he
took
all the wind out of him. It just a punch from nowhere, and it just done him, and he just couldn't. He was so annoyed with himself because mentally he was totally still with it. But
Yeah,
totally,
that body shots are horrible, and also late on when you're tired, just catching one, you know, it could just take everything away.
Yeah, it just done him. He was gutted because he'd put up such a spirited display, and he could have won at any time because the cut was that bad.
Yeah,
like there was an argument that it could have been stopped, but it wasn't, and he pulled one out and he bloody won. So you know, well.
Did he tell him to aim for the cut, or is that a bit too?
Yeah.
I mean, you should do, but it's always. Yeah.
But it was funny because during the training leading up to it, we spoke about it and we said, look, there's a good chance he'll get cut earlier. He was known to be a bleeder, and we said, like, as soon as he gets cut, like if you're going to the head, aim for it, because it was a 10 rounder. We knew if he got cut early, there'd be a long time to sort of last. And he done well, and the cut was terrible. I mean, well done for Levers for sort of putting it to the back of his mind. And
that was his last fight. He's not fought since.
No. He would have had to wait for that to heal. It was terrible. But since then, he was meant to box, but I think there was a delay in his medical or something in the paperwork, and so he's ended up missing his next contest. But he's a good prospect. He's a good prospect. But it makes you wonder how far he'll go because his eyes look raw.
I mean, who is it? Obviously, the classic one's Henry Cooper, but there's another guy as well. I was looking at his record the other day, and every single fight, his eyes would open up, you know, and he got stopped a few times. Never got stopped by getting KO'd or getting dropped, just by cuts. Yeah. Some people just got that thin skin and the bones that, you know, they jut out, so they get them cuts, don't they?
I think. Do you remember Billy Schwer?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Billy.
I think he was one who used to.
He cut every fight.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a few.
And because he was blonde, his hair would go pink with the blood. And Billy Schwer was. Billy Schwer, man. Billy Schwer was entertaining. Didn't he fight for the world title? Gabby Ruelas or someone?
Yeah, that's it.
I think he did fight.
Yeah. He ended up winning an IBO title.
That's right.
So he was he done all his career at lightweight, and then he went up to light welter and won an IBO title. But
I think from what I don't know much, but I remember meeting a guy who knew him, a non-boxer, you know, a normal person, and he was. I think Billy's doing quite well. I think.
Yeah, I think he does motivational speaking.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. That's what he said. And this guy was like, why don't you come along? I think he's part of a kind of, I'm not going to call it a cult, but there's some kind of Christian style cult that he's part of. It's called, I can't remember. And this guy was part of it. So he's trying to pull me in. Oh, you like boxing? I go, yeah, I love it. Well, why don't you come and meet Billy Schwer? I'm like, yeah. I mean, I am a Christian now, but I wasn't then. I was like, I'm not interested. But also, it's there's many different like styles of Christian. You know, Mormons claim to be Christians and they're nuts. You know, like, and then you get Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what I mean? You get them kind of culty ones.
Yeah.
But you know, and anyway, the church is all corrupt now. We know that the Catholic Church has been corrupt forever. Yeah. The Church of England's corrupt as anything, and they push like all kinds of elitist agenda on us or on our kids as well. Which
as well. It's brainwashing, isn't it, at a major level.
Yeah, I think it's Julian Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, said that. Right, you imagine about this. That being use this word, transformer is a spiritual, godly journey, and you're like, are you nuts, man? You know, you're pushing people to a lifestyle that is not realistic. There's got a 45% suicide rate. What are you doing, man? And it's not, you know, even if you're an atheist, that's crazy, but a Christian as well. It's just nuts, man.
Yeah, it's
nuts.
It's a bit.
Michael 88 says hello. Oh, Brian London. Oh, we're talking about guys who cut a lot. Brian London used to cut a lot. Yeah. Justin Welby. There, Malama's got it right. Anglican leaders, Guran says, they want to appeal to liberals. Yeah, but it's not that they want to appeal to liberals. They've been forced to, because the programming of the elitists and what they want is so strong and so forceful. They push it on everyone through every means possible. Advertising, media, church, school. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it even happens in boxing now, because they'll put on rubbish. They'll push women. They'll have people saying, I'll be watching a women's fight. I'll be like, a 15-year-old club male amateur would wax these people, and they're telling us we're watching superstars who are incredible. And I'm just sitting there going, am I going mad? Or, and they'll go, oh, they're as good as the men sometimes. I'm like, these guys are tripping, man. Anyone who knows boxing, and how do the commentators, like you get a guy like Darren Barker, who's won a world championship, who was a great amateur, and he's like, oh, this is amazing. Look at that Sky Nicholson. She's so slick. Look at her jab. I'm like going, she looks like Bambi on ice. Yeah. And I'm just like I said in a video, there's 1,500 female amateurs, right? There are 68 possible world championships they can win. That means 1 in 22 women will be a world champion at any one time. That's just nuts, man.
I think it's like, I don't know, but like it's as if they're not told what to say, but they know what they're meant to say. It's someone they're trying to build up. They're not told, right, say this, say that, but they know like the right and wrong things to say. And so they're always looking for positives as opposed to sort of being...
Well, they know they'll lose their job. They go, look, they know what they got to say because they know what their gender is, because it's in all the mainstream papers. And they've got a cushy job commentating on boxing. And it's hard for boxers when they retire because they're still in the prime of their life. If you're in a normal job, being 35, 40 is the prime of your working life. In fact, you haven't even reached it. But if you're a boxer, you're coming to the end of it. And then now what? It's difficult.
Yeah.
And there's so many... Yeah, I mean, and there's even so many boxers made so much money that are broke. Like even Mike Tyson got made bankrupt. Riddick Bowe has got nothing left.
No, he's selling them in autographs down at Las Vegas, wasn't he?
I met one of the legends in my mind, especially because I was young when I was. When you're young, the guys you see when you're young, they stick in your mind. So Iran the Blade Barkley. You remember Iran Barkley, right?
Yeah.
I seen him I went to watch Amir Khan, Paulie Malignaggi in New York, and I was like, no way, the Blade. I said, what's up, brother? And I'm chatting to him, I'm being nice. I go, do you mind if I take a picture? And he's like, yeah, usually I kind of want $10. I said, no problem. I give him $20. I'm like, no problem, brother. But these guys, Aaron Barkley he looked so terrifying, but he's actually a really, really chilled out guy. And he was a member of some gang, but and it's like it's hurtful to see them guys come out of boxing with nothing, who give them so much.
I heard he was living on the underground at one stage in New York.
No, really?
Yeah. It was lit because like you go down under, you get through the barriers, and once you're down there, it's like it's sort of warm enough. And he was actually sleeping on the platforms down there. Yeah.
No, I did not know that. That's terrible. Because also, I don't know if you've seen some documentaries on things like YouTube, right? They've got they call them the tunnel people or something like that.
Oh,
and they live underneath.
Yeah,
it's insane, man. Like, and you think America's meant to be. We know it isn't the most civilized, rich country, and yet you've got these people that are living like rats.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, them people have never had anything. When you think like Barkley, the purses he must have earned against Earns and all the rest of it, and has he squandered it, or has someone had him over for it? I don't know.
I think Barkley's there's a few documentaries on it. He's well known for being super generous, and he gave it all away. Yeah. So I don't think he was never the kind of guy. He wasn't swanning around in stupid cars and like Mike Tyson buying rollers and giving it away to coppers and that. I think he sorted out all his mates all the time, because he was. It sounds weird for a guy who looked so tough, who grew up in the Bronx and was kind of. They say he's a gang member. We don't know how involved he was, but would be. I think his heart was too gentle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he looks the part.
You remember the Roberto Duran fight?
Yeah.
When I mean, in them days, I don't think that was televised. I was a kid. I was a little kid, and I read everything about boxing in the papers, every single paper I could get my hands on, and I couldn't believe that Duran dropped him. And beat him like that. Yeah, that's one of Duran's best performances. And Barkley looked huge against him, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's a big bloke, that Barkley, for that weight. And when you think Duran was like a lightweight when he made his name, mad, isn't it?
Well, he went up to super middle, didn't he? He fought William Joppy, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of nuts. And I remember the preview to the Barkley, because Barkley just knocked out Hearns, and I was like, that was a shocker. And then I remember the preview in Boxing News, they'd be saying, well, Barkley will be able to say he's beaten 2 legends in 2 fights in a row, but they weren't the same as they were. And yet Duran won, and Duran carried on winning a bit, and Hearns went on winning. You know what I mean? It's boxing's weird like that. They'd like to write you off after one loss, don't they?
Yeah, I don't like all that. It's I suppose they can get away with it because people's careers are so short now. Years ago, when they had like 60, 70, 80 bouts regular, you could have half a dozen losses. Now, it's as if you have an hiccup, it's like the eyes are on you. They're looking to write you off when really it's a bit harsh, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit harsh.
We're talking about the people that live in the tunnel people. That's what they're called, like Ben Shalom. If you're red pilled, we know what's that's a different kind of tunnel. So everyone, remember to ask my man Mark some questions. We've got loads of comments, but you know, we've got here a man who lives a life in boxing. What I was going to ask was for your man Peter, if he's your only pro, how do you get him sparring? Do you have to get other people in?
Travel. Yeah, we travel around. Sometimes they'll come to us, but a lot of the time, if it's us that if we're helping someone else out, they might come to us. But if we need the rounds, we go anywhere. Like we travel anywhere.
Sure. Do you drive him around to the different?
Yeah. I'll drive or he'll drive.
So what's how much petrol do you spend a year?
Yeah, I know. The old mileage soon clocks up, doesn't it? It's but when I had a few of them, I mean, we used to go all over the place. Matt McCarthy, he's jacked it in now, but he was doing well a number of years ago. He won the Southern area. He was doing well, but he lost it in a defence. Terrific contest. Right. And he ended up breaking his leg at work. Really bad break. He nearly lost his leg. And,
that's horrible, man.
He had it pinned, and he got a big payout compensation, like injury at work. But he was never the same again. He had such a long break from it. Yeah. That.
Do you know? Sorry, just reminding me before, because I forget things, and I always have to say them before I forget. You know, do you remember Sammy Reeson?
Yes.
Right,
he lost the leg, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. I used to see him in Battersea wandering around. He lost, but he got a good payout from it allegedly. But he lost a leg in some accident. Michael 88 goes, no more political talk. Let's stick to boxing. Fair enough. It's a boxing channel. And I want to just say, so Ben Whitaker, Liam Cameron 2 should be great. Yeah. I just want to point out this. So Mark wrote an article about. This is actually about PEDs, but this is includes Liam Cameron now, how badly he was treated compared to actual PED cheats. So that's interesting. Do you know Liam personally?
No, don't know him. They put that picture. I didn't ask them to put that picture up. They just put that picture with that article because it was relevant to him. But
sure.
That just makes you wonder, are they really serious about PEDs in boxing? Because what happened to him, it was almost like, we are serious. Look at the ban we've given him. But he didn't have a lot of money to defend himself. He sort of said, look, this is what it was. And that's his defence, you know, this is what it was. And they're like, well, we'll make an example of you. But it just seems if you've got the money, you know, it's not as black and white as that, is it?
No, I think, Mark, we both know the truth, which is, the problem is, if you start banning big names all the time, and they've got the access to all the best drugs and masking agents and this cycling agents and all that stuff, then there's unfortunately no boxers left at the top.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you know, all big sports, MMA, whatever you want, you know, if everyone else is doing it, then, you know, you look at Linford Christie, right? I think he was natural for a bit, and he couldn't quite get to the peak. And then he suddenly started to improve around 30. And sprinting is a young man's sport. Yeah. And he's suddenly 33. I think He won a bronze medal, didn't he? Or silver? He got upgraded to a silver medal. I can't remember, in the '88 Olympics. Yeah. Then he started killing it, and you can see, you know, he actually failed a test. Everyone from the 1988 Olympic final failed a test at some stage, but nothing happens because you can't get rid of all the big names, because otherwise you don't have a sport.
It just seems that like they've got to be seen to do something, but they don't really want to do so. They don't, in my opinion, they don't want to catch them, but they've got to be seen to be doing something.
I couldn't say it better, and that's why they pick on the little guys who can't fight back.
Yeah. I mean, it's
and that's what you're saying in this article.
Yeah, and it is like that, isn't it? Because if it wasn't, there's so many examples where it is, and it's like, and as a promoter, if you was a promoter and you've hired a venue, you've had the tickets printed, you've done the publicity, you've done tens of thousands of pounds potentially promoting this contest. The last thing you want them to do is catch them failing a test. So it's like, oh, and if they have failed it, it's like, right, what? It seems that it's like, he's failed it, right? What can we do to get round it? I've done loads of money here. How can we let this contest go on? And then it's as if they then look for a loophole or did he actually fail it, or is it like he's not part?
And they've got the money to pay for lawyers and doctors to give them excuses as well. Yeah. I mean, and also you've got to remember, the British Boxing Board of Control is a limited private company, right? So, and they get their money, they get their cut from all the shows, so they make their money from the big shows. They have to look after the big names, because otherwise they're not getting paid. Yeah, you know, I know you've got to be careful about, but you know, there's the British Boxing Board are a self-appointed body and a limited profit, a company for profit. They've got about £1 million in the bank. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're an organisation, a charity that are looking after boxing. They are a private company. So what do you think? Let's talk about so today was, I think today, Ben Whitaker, Liam Cameron, or yesterday was announced number 2. I was surprised. What do you think will happen there? Do you think Cameron will agree to lie down? Do you think? No,
I think he'll give it everything. But I think the fact that Whitaker's agreed to have an immediate rematch, I think the simplest thing for him, if he was having doubts, this is how I would look at it. Yeah, he would have a chat with his people and say, look, I don't know what happened there, but I need another bout before I have a rematch. The fact that he's agreed to the rematch, because he didn't have to, as much as he'll get called names and all the rest of it, he'll say, look, I got injured, I want to warm up, and then I'll take him on. If he had any doubts, I think he'd find a way of missing the rematch. The fact he's taking it, I think it sort of shows he is up for it. You don't know if they've turned around to him and said, look, you're going to have this rematch. We've invested loads of money in you. You ain't having a warm-up. I'm not saying they said this to him, but like the fact that he's gone, I'll have it, I think it sort of proves his intent, really.
I thought this, and I said it on the video, like after the press conference. I think there's a possibility, like happened with David A. Early in his career against Carl Thompson, that he wasn't taking his training that seriously. Yeah. He thought he'd get away with his talent and all that. Oh, this guy's a bum. Oh, you know, I'm gonna just light him up, and then he looked like he was gassing a bit, you know. And I think there's a possibility he didn't train that hard for that fight. And this, maybe he's thinking, right, I've got to do it properly now, and that you know, he'll bring his top game. Yeah, this time.
I think like Liam Cameron's going to be like the fan favourite. He's like a good, honest pro. Made the most of his opportunity. Took it seriously. He comes across as level-headed. He's doing interviews now, and so everyone can root for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be the one that everyone's going to be rooting for him. But I think Whitaker's going to be up for this, and I think he'll be a different.
I tend to agree with you. The odds are very much in Whitaker's favour as well. The bookies have released the odds. You get like, in the decimal, it's 1.25 for Whitaker, which is 4-1 on, I think, if I'm correct. So for, what's his face, Cameron, you get 4.33. That's just, what's that, like 3.5 to 1 a bit, or 3.3 to 1. So, you know, the bookies are never fair. It's not evens and evens. It's 5 to 6 and 5. You know what I mean? That's how they make their money. But Yeah, so I think, you know, I think that's a likely scenario. But
I remember Carl Froch and George Groves when Froch was saying, like, he was taking the training serious. He said, but I just didn't have that edge to me. He said I'd done everything I needed to do training wise.
did he? Yeah.
But he was saying, like, but I just didn't have that edge. He said, because I was doing everything. Like, if he does 10 5-mile runs, an X amount on the bags, an X amount sparring. He said, because he used to keep a diary, and he was saying,
Right.
like, his diary matched all these other diaries. He said, but mentally, I just couldn't get up for it. He said, and that's why the performance in the first contest was so lackluster. He said, I was fit enough, but mentally I weren't up for it. Whereas the second one, where he sort of got surprised, the second fight, mentally he was up for it. And that was the difference.
Okay, I want to play devil's advocate here. And I would say that maybe Froch is looking for an excuse for that first fight. Because no, I mean, the thing is, right, Groves was winding him up so much. Now, if you couldn't get up, you almost made Froch cry on TV. Like, he was, you know, if there's one fight you'd have to be up for, it'd be someone who's winding you up all the time like that. So I think he's sort of making an excuse. Oh, that's why I performed badly. Because I was shocked when he got caught. Was it the first round?
Yeah.
Or he got dropped? I was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
good right hand that was, wasn't it? Yeah, and I remember in the interview after the contest, I don't think he even knew he'd been knocked down until someone told him.
I've heard boxers come out, they got knocked out, and they thought they lost on a cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they can't remember it. But that's what happens at the top level when you get hit bloody hard. You know what I mean? But George Groves is a weird one. So I always used to really like him. But other people that sparred him as pros, good pros, that said that don't like him. There's a lot that comes out a lot, like he's always trying to, I don't know, mate. Maybe it's the way he's trying to get a psychological edge or something. But I've had good, you know, people, real nice people that never speak badly. Goes, I don't like him. I didn't like his attitude.
I don't know him, but the little bit I've seen of him, he comes across as like, all right, he's sort of knowledgeable. He comes across as sort of like a down to earth bloke. But
that's right.
Yeah, don't know. Something.
Jagale didn't like him. Who obviously they were the same club. Froch didn't like him. Other guys that sparred him that I've heard said similar things.
Seems to have mellowed now. Now he's like retired and he's making his way in the sport in a different capacity. He seems to have chilled out, doesn't he?
It does happen to a lot of people. You know, Hagler was intense. Although, let me tell you, right, Hagler, and then when he retired, he's just Mr. Chilled. Yeah. And until he got, well, unfortunately, we know what happened. And but it's such a shame because he kept so fit. He retired at 32, you know? Yeah. So he wasn't an old boy. But people always used to have him, oh, he's stone-faced and he's this and that. But I've seen him in some interviews, even when he was boxing on YouTube. And, you know, I was really young at the time and we didn't have, obviously, YouTube. But and he comes and he's quite funny. He's quite charismatic. He's not, you know, the media love to paint you as a certain person. And then it becomes, that becomes the truth.
He came to the gym. When I was down at the gym, he came down. I had a chat with him and he was like laughing. He had no ego at all. He was just like having a chat. Like, to think that he was like boxing royalty, like genuine sort of boxing royalty. He weren't someone who had won an interim title sort of 20 years ago or whatever. This was like the real deal type thing. And he just come in. He was having a laugh and just a joke about.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, he was very laid back about everything. He was telling us about the amount of pets that get named after him, and he'll be in the park and someone will be shouting out for their dog and he's called Hagler and all that. And he's just having because I was telling him I had a goldfish called Margaret named after him when I was about 12 or something. And I was telling him about that and he was like, oh, he was laughing. He was going, the amount of times I'm like, over the park and someone's called their dog Hagler and all that.
Shit, no, really?
Prime, yeah.
Probably usually pit bulls, though. I bet most of them are pit bulls.
Yeah. Whereas when Lennox Lewis came down the gym, he was very serious. It was like the kids were training, and if they was like sort of being distracted and having a chat with each other and sort of weren't really taking much notice of him, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to tell you something here. He was like very serious the whole time he was there. Whereas Hagler was like having a laugh, sort of.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's the whole thing because Hagler, back in that day, you didn't have many people that had shaved their head bald like him, and he had that tash and that, you know, with the goatee. He looked like a killer. So and the media, you know, you know what they're like. They push a certain character and story, and they'll stick to that. Well, you know, he was hard, grumpy. He's like, no, man, he was fun, actually, you know. The black caller says, I said this on my video, so I remember when he's talked to me, Ben's eyes are too close together and he'll struggle to see shots coming from the side. I mean, I sort of said that as a joke, but that happened with Cameron. He was hitting with hooks like that. I said, the straight shots you'll see coming, but he won't see them shots coming. So,
I remember you saying that.
Unfortunately, I rinsed Ben quite badly on that. But I mean, the thing is, if you're going to talk big and in the public eye, then you've got to expect some back chat as well. You know, that's part of the game, especially now. Yeah.
He's changed. He's changed trainers, hasn't he? He's going to Andy Lee.
Is he?
Yeah, Whitaker. He's changed trainers. He's going to.
Who was he with before?
I can't even remember. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, Adam Booth. Was it Adam Booth? Maybe not. No, maybe not.
No, I don't think it was. I feel like it was someone sort of up like Midlands or
right.
But I think it was only today. He's told everyone he's going to Andy Lee. But
I mean, you know, Andy Lee's been there and done it all.
Yeah.
You know. Oh yeah. Without further ado, are you going to cry, Carl? That's what Grove said. Do you remember? He was in his face. He was like, "Are you going to cry, Carl?" And he was getting all emotional. I mean, Carl Froch, he naturally is quite a shy guy. He's come out of his shell a bit now. But you know, like I said on the Wilson video, like he you know, he used to cry before big fights. He gets so stressed. Once he's in the ring, he's fine. And even in the England team, he used to say, I don't want to spar, I don't want to spar, I don't want to spar. You know, for a guy who's that tough and who could, you know, who's achieved that much, it's quite weird to see sometimes, isn't it? You know.
Oh yeah, blimey, yeah. I think he had his doubts, didn't he? I think he was a thinker. He weren't like sort of like bravado. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I think he was a real sort of thinker. Took everything to art type thing. Do you know what I mean? But had a good career, didn't he?
So we've got a question here from Nevergoon. What's up, Nevergoon? What's up? Great to see you. How successful, this is for you, Mark, do you think Ben Whitaker's career would be or will be? Do you think he's been showing up?
I think, like I said earlier, everyone talks about world titles now. So no one's aiming to be a contender anymore. Like going back years ago, people was like proud to be a contender. They accepted there was only one sort of best in the world. And they was all trying to become world class. Now they all want to be world champion. They want to do 3-4 different weights, and sometimes they sort of set the goal a bit too high. I think Whitaker's good, but you know, is he going to get? He's not Nassim Ahmed, is he? Do you know what I mean? He's not. The thing is with Ahmed, he had that sort of style, but he was knocking people out.
Yeah.
So if he was having,
he brought them up.
Yeah, exactly. So that as well. It was like. If he was having a bad day or the others were getting a little bit too sort of cocky, he could put them away. I'm not sure if Ben Whitaker can. So I think he's got titles in him. He might win a European, do well at European level, have a shot at a world and get found out maybe. Do you know what I mean?
Well, back in the day, right, having a British title was a big deal. But now, because there's 4 world titles and more if you want to count IBO and whatever else, you know, that really... everyone aims for the world title and that's the only way you're going to get proper money. You're not, you know, British champion's great. I mean, to hold the Lonsdale belt and all that stuff is amazing, and everyone knows that. But you know what? If you're going to get the money, you have to get one of them 4 titles, world titles.
They've worked a path to a alphabet title, wouldn't they? Do you know what I mean? Because the television networks, they need world titles on their shows. So. They just find a path to get to one. I remember years ago, do you remember when they was trying to promote the WBU all the time? Yeah,
was that really fat guy who used to be...
John Robinson.
And Ricky Hatton was WBU champion.
That's right. So Ricky Hatton, who was the first sort of successful pro that's done his whole career on Sky Telly. So before that, everyone had a bit of BBC, ITV. Ricky Hatton started his career on Sky and went all the way through on Sky. And they needed a title, like a world title tag. And so like John Robinson had that company, WBU. Frank Warren sort of sided up to him and was putting on WBU title fight.
There was a lot of I remember there's a lot of British WBU champions, weren't there?
Yeah, like Michael Golding,
I think even Takaloo and people like that. I can't remember.
Yeah. Anthony Farnell got knocked out in a round, I think, by Takaloo.
That was nuts, man. And he called him Vindaloo, which, and everyone's like, oh, he's terrible, he's racist. And I was like, get over it, man. It rhymes with Vindaloo. And like, come on, man, it's not a big deal. I mean, his real name was Merdud Takaloo Bigashi. So you can see why he called himself Takaloo, because it's a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And he was a bit
the man in the street is not going to be able to say, oh, I'm a big fan of Merdud Takaloo Bigashi. They wouldn't be able to say that, would they?
He was from Margate, wasn't he?
Yeah. Do you know, I met him a few times. And he was lovely. He's a lovely guy.
He came across all right, didn't he? Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing now. Apparently he's a great gym fighter. That's what I was told by Wilson, or at least someone on the on the thing. He was a super gym fighter, and I know that he had a bit of a beef with Wayne Alexander, but I was there at that fight in the York Hall, and that was one of the most brutal knockouts. We all know that, but. It was Takaloo hurt Alexander with a body shot, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then, he took a step back, Wayne, and blap, and then. But Wayne had that kind of unreal power. Sometimes, sometimes he'd hit you with shots, and they look like arm shots, but the guy would just.
They had something on them, didn't they?
That was nuts. That was nuts. Yeah, someone's saying here. So I've got Welshman says, Frochman mouths off on his channel a lot, but he bottles it when he interviews people who criticise. I've heard that quite a lot. I think he's still quite there's still that nervous boy in him a bit when he kind of backs off a bit, which is strange for a guy who achieves so much. I mean, look, he's got a pretty wife. He's got all his property. He's got loads of money. He's won world titles, but deep down. Sometimes that kind of slightly little boy kind of aspect comes out of him, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's easy done over the internet, though, isn't it? Because you can get carried away with what you're saying, and all of a sudden, if they're in the room, it's like all of a sudden it ain't such a good idea. It's like,
Well, yeah, it's a different kettle of fish. But having said that, and it was all, what was really weird. I can't remember if it was the first or second Groves fight, right? But Groves would get in his head. And he brought along his big brother, didn't he? Lee, who's a lump. Lee can fight as well. I mean, admittedly unlicensed, but he's 18 stone of lump. And I think he's had something stupid like 15 fights, 14 KOs. Yeah, it's unlicensed. It's not pro boxing. But he's a big lump. And he brought him along like to be his bodyguard, which I thought was a bit weird. Louis says, big up Triple B in the chat. Yeah, big up everyone in the chat. Thank you. Tony goes, Froch melted when he interviewed Turkey Al Sheikh. He thought they were going to hold hands. That's all a bit.
That just shows you how much money he's paying them.
Well, everybody knows. Everybody wants the turkey, the excellency bag, because it's a big bag. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm just going to do this. Right. Look, we've been on for almost an hour. We've had one super shekel. Come on, fellas. You know what to do. You can get the super shekel. Sometimes you need to prod them a bit, man.
Yeah,
get your begging bowl out. But like the Black Caller says, Froch is never going to say anything in Turkey. Of course not, because he's dealing with the most powerful man in boxing. And I don't think a lot with all these stupid like old guys coming back and fighting. It's probably a little bit in Froch's mind. Well, hang on, I'm 45 or whatever he is now, and he's in excellent shape. He probably thinks. I would happily fight Jake Paul for 50 million quid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, Tom Pelvito, I like this version of Triple B. It's great to see you live. Thank you, bro. Yeah, I'd take a break because I had all these in-life problems, and you know what? I just get rid of I didn't even look at YouTube. I didn't look at social media, nothing. But it was great to be back, man. I love these shows, man, especially with great you know, when we've got great guests like my man Mark Massow in the house. So let's think about, like, what's the future for British boxing? Who are the future names? Because we've already talked about Whitaker, and at some stage he looked like he's going to blow up. But I was there when he fought, I think it was the 02, right? Who was it? Fabio Wardley, his Fraser Clark undercard.
Oh, yeah.
Whitaker fought Leon Willings, and he dropped him. But then Willings did really well. And I was like, that was the first time I was like, now he's starting to learn when he's stepping up. Willings is like brought in at the last minute. I think he's from up north.
Yeah, he gave it a good go, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. He had heart.
I think he was an area champion, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was a solid crow for him to sort of beat at that stage of his career, but he gave it a good go, didn't he, that fella?
Oh, he did, and you know, he didn't do a showboat. That's the thing about Whitaker. You can see when he's having a bit, when he knows he's in with someone who's decent, he'll stop his stupid showboating and all that sort of stuff because he can't get away with it. I mean, it makes me laugh. I've got to be honest. I'm not necessarily a hater of his because I think you need characters and entertainment, but there's only one Prince. I mean, there's other people. He was very original. I had a love-hate thing with him. Sometimes I think, oh man, you are a prick. But then I couldn't help but like enjoy the fights, man.
Thing is, his style is it's encouraging like criticism, isn't it? Because it's like he winds people up and says they're going to bite. And it all comes with a territory, doesn't it? Even if you sort of it's all a bit tongue in cheek. He's doing it to get a reaction out of people, and it works. So
and also when you can back it up, you know, you can't really argue with it. And it's not like Mayweather will talk and then win on points, but Nazim will talk and brook you up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and flatten you. I'm just saying thanks to my man Weltschmerz with 333. I'm not sure about the secret society number, but I'll take it. I'll take the secret. but yeah, Hamed. I mean, he really, and also, you know, he was only a featherweight. I actually think he could have stayed at bantamweight. You know, he always looked a bit chunky, didn't he? He liked his food, and you can see that now.
He weren't ripped, was he?
Nah, and he started as a flyweight, didn't he?
I was going to say his debut. Ricky Beard. He boxed Ricky
That's right.
Beard.
He was only 18 though, right? He was only 18.
Yeah, he was young, wasn't he? He was young.
Yeah.
He didn't hang about. I think like because of his style and his attitude, he weren't going to hang about and do anything internationally with the amateurs because of the they didn't sort of.
They didn't like Ingle, or they didn't like the style as well. Yeah.
No, he was a bit of a. He was like a bit of a Brian Clough, wasn't he? But as regards to the
the establishment didn't like him.
Yeah.
And same. I don't know why the establishment didn't like Calzaghe. I think it's because his dad was so strong-minded, and he's like he wouldn't bend over. He wouldn't bend over. Like he never, you know, Calzaghe should have gone to the Olympics. He should have been a massive name. And I remember watching win 3 ABA titles in a row, and I was like, this guy's going to be amazing. And he stopped all these future world champions in the ABAs. And you know, I remember when they lined him up to fight Steve Collins, and I was like, and I had a friend, Irish, well, he's Cockney Irish, and he's like, oh, Steve Collins is too tough. I said, believe me, Calzaghe will light him up. But in the end, he pulled out anyway. But, you know.
I think Pat McCormack, he's got Robbie Davis Jr. at the weekend, doesn't he? Pat
That's
McCormack.
right.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think they're fast tracking McCormack, aren't they?
I always confuse McGrail and McCormack. McGrail was the one who got KO'd in America, didn't he? When he was dominant.
Yeah, that's Peter McGrail. He's from Liverpool, and he's the smaller. He's a bit. What's he? A super bantam.
Something
he's
like
a smaller fella, isn't he? Is he a featherweight now? McCormack's the welterweight. He's got a twin brother, Luke.
That's right.
They was top amateurs, the pair of them. And Robbie Davis has decided to take a gamble and try and make a name for himself against.
What do you think will happen?
I think McCormack's too ambitious for him at this stage.
Yeah.
But Robbie Davis sort of he won a British title at light welter from memory. I'm sure, and he's now going up to welter to take his chances against the next best, like the new thing on the block. And they don't often get it wrong, do they? When they're trying to build someone up.
Except if they're managed by Ben Shalom, who don't know shit about boxing. You know, I don't know how he got. Well, I know why and how he got into boxing. But to anyone who knows about boxing, it's just like, really. This guy Wild Ran is Mark related to Brian Harvey. I think he's taking the mic.
No, I've been Walthamstow a few times, but we're not related.
Brian's red pilled though, and he's been persecuted because of it. You know, it's quite interesting. I don't really watch the channels because you never know. Yeah. And you know, I think he had a few drug problems. I think they all did. You know, but
I think he ran himself over at one stage, didn't he?
How do you do that? I said, how do you do that? But there's a famous fighter who was it now in the 70s, and his name. He was trying to stop his car, and it ran him over and killed him. And he was. Oh. I think he was an ex-world champion. I can't remember his name. It annoys me. He had the same name as the guy that Emil Griffith killed, I think. I can't remember.
That's Benny Parrott.
Oh, no, it wasn't Benny Parrott. Sorry. Yeah. I've got the wrong guy. It was, you're right. His name wasn't Benny Parrott, but there's a name of another guy who also died in the ring. And it was like they thought that name was cursed, which is bullshit, obviously. Rooster's here. He says, big up the show. Yes, like. Of course, like. And where's my super chef? Donate, like. Show some love. And remember, I want to get your club up. Remember, so anyone who wants to train who lives in Essex, hit up Mark Massow. You can search for it. What's the name of the club again? It's
I'm at the sweetsciencestudio.com is the website, and it's
check it out.
Masso_boxing on Instagram.
Right.
I was on Facebook, but I got hacked by someone in Chicago.
No way.
And he changed my name to who's the bloke who played Superman? Is it
Christopher Reeves? Christopher Reeves.
No, Henry.
Dean Cain.
Henry something.
Oh, Henry Cavill.
Yes, that. So he hacked into my account from Chicago, changed it to Henry Cavill. Facebook recognised that he was using a celebrity's name, and so they deleted the account.
That is nuts, man. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You know, there's the thing with all these social media online things. You're so vulnerable. You make yourself so vulnerable. I've had, I'm pretty clued up on the internet. I've been working on the internet for 20 years, man. And still, stuff will happen to my account stuff. I mean, I've taken them all off. I don't have no personal stuff. I've got Instagram, but that's for the Triple B show. I don't do no personal stuff at all. Nothing. No, you leave yourself very vulnerable, don't you? As well. Yeah. And the people, the powers that be, can see what you're saying. Obviously,
I know.
And they'll record you. Facebook admitted they will. They record you as you speak. When you're on Facebook, they'll record you, and that's why they know exactly what adverts to serve up to you. They got fined for it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. If you could manage someone, right, from Britain, we'll stick to Britain, to make the most money or who's got the most potential, who would it be?
Who would it be? Well, you got if you're looking at money, you've got to go with an heavyweight, so it'd be Moses
Hittama. It has to be. I mean, you have to say that, right? I mean, because that if you had to look for gold, you'd go for it. He's never lost a fight. I know he was a junior, he was only a junior, but he was going through these guys. But he's one of these guys, his body matured really early, because I'd see some of these guys he was fighting and they still had not a boy's body, but they hadn't grown into a total man, and they're meeting this lump. But Moses Hittama has got to be the pick, really, isn't it?
It's the same old story. He hasn't been tested yet, but he's doing all the right things, isn't he? It's like sometimes they put him in with these like journeymen, and they'll just outpoint him. He's getting in there, he's just knocking them out. It's like, just line them up, and I'm doing this to them. So,
well, it's quite odd though, wasn't it? Because like he's knocked out most people in the first round, right? Including Dempsey McKean, who was formerly world rated. I never rated him, but still, I know he was formerly world rated. He went 12 rounds Zergovic, and but there's two tough journeymen, isn't it? He suddenly went points with two guys. I can't remember their names. They're from Ukraine.
But and it was like, as he sort of Has he?
Yeah, did we overestimate him?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But that might be again. He might have. Who knows? He might have taken his foot off the pedal in training. Thought this is too easy, and then, you know, because I remember after those fights, he did say something like, "I wasn't training properly. I wasn't taking it seriously enough." And then that shook him up a bit, and now he's banging everyone out.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. He's only young, and it could all be too easy. If he earns a load of money too early, it's a little bit like, what's the incentive to keep doing it? Do you know what I mean? Once you've, like, I remember talking about Hagler earlier when he used to say it's hard getting out of bed when you're wearing silk pajamas.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, when they're striving to get there, you know, the bits between the teeth, they're training hard, they're trying to get there. But once they've made it, like, you've got money, it's a bit like, and then you've got the next bloke coming up who was like you was coming up, and all of a sudden you've made it. Do you know what I mean? And yet it's like, hold on, I
get it, but that tends to happen after they won the world title. You know what I mean? Because that's when the money really rolls in, don't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for me to get on the show with a fake silk shirt as well. But
but then look at how, like, Conor Ben, considering the little he's actually done. Look what he's driving around in and the way he lives. And I only know as much as he puts on social media, but he lives as if he's cracked it already, and yet, like, he hasn't really done much, has he? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, I mean, he had quite a privileged upbringing, and I'm not dissing him for that. Obviously, his dad, he lived in Australia, he lived in Spain. He speaks fluent Spanish, you know that. I seen him on an interview. He starts jabbering in Spanish. I'm like, damn. And you know, he lived a nice, you know, a privileged lifestyle. So I think, you know, his dad obviously made a lot of money, and he's looked after it. I used to love the Dark Destroyer. You know, I remember the first article I seen of him. You know, and it's weird because we're talking about Hagler as well, and it's very weird, this quote. There's an article of interview with Nigel Benn. He said, I used to shave my head to be like Marvin Hagler, but I was so disgusted when Marvin Hagler lost to Sugar Ray that he started having that mohawk, didn't he? Yeah. But he was, and then, I mean, that was the first time I ever seen someone wear them flashy shorts when he fought Michael Watson, and he had all his hair done and all that.
Yeah. I know. He was in that barber's chair for about 6 hours or something.
And he was saying it pulled his face up. He had a face lift.
He was a different breed, wasn't he? Yeah.
But he came back and he went to America and he'd done Iron Barkley in the first round. Yeah. You know, and with Ben, you got excitement. You know, I remember watching the Watson fight. I was young. With the friends that went into boxing, and they go, "This is what it's about." You know what I mean?
It was worth watching. It was.
I remember him knocking out Ian Chandler in 16 seconds.
Yeah, do you remember it?
He was good fighter, Chandler, at his level, but he got caught. You know, anyone get caught. You know what I mean? But
I remember that one. Bloody hell, his chin was up in the air on that one. Bloody hell, he didn't muck with that, did he? But that's the thing. He was going out there to knock you out. He wasn't going out there to win a few rounds and ease his way in and have a little look at you. He was going in there and knock you out. He didn't.
He just trying to bang you out
all the time, but that was his attitude, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? And people want to see it, really. Like, it's the entertainment business, and he was entertaining, wasn't
he? Yeah. So the Black Quarter says, anyone placing a bet on Cameron Whitaker? Could you excuse me for like 30 seconds? I've got to go drain the list. I've had loads of. So do you want to? Can you answer this question? The Black Quarter says, are you betting on Cameron Whitaker? He's asking both of us.
Yeah.
Would you bet at those odds? Would you bet at those odds? I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think Whitaker will nick it. Cameron's going to be the fan favourite, and he's going to give a good, honest account of himself. But I think Whitaker's going to take it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I think the same. I think Whitaker's going to bring his proper game. You know what I'm saying?
I'll make you right.
The odds are okay, but there's not quite enough value there for me to bet.
Nah. I know they say don't bet on the odds, bet on who you think's going to win. But I mean, I don't really bet anyway. It's not really my thing because if you win one, it's all gone the next.
Oh, sorry about that, chaps. Sometimes you just got to go. But yeah, it's just Milan goes, this is not a Corey channel. I know, we're not talking about Corey's. I just have to drain the lizard, man. Black Corey goes, you think Whitaker wins on points? Yeah, that's a good question. I would say so, yes. He's not a massive puncher. He stops people, but he's not a massive puncher, is he?
No, I think there's a good chance it'll be points, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Black Caller goes, I'm going to do my first boxing bet on the fight. What are you going to bet on, Black Caller? I assume you're looking at Whitaker on points. And let me have a look at the odds. I'll have a look at the odds. I reckon you'll probably get evens on that, is what I think, which is not the best price. But, you know, if you win, you win. You know, it's all about the profit, right?
Mm.
You don't bet, do you? You said you didn't bet. You know,
very rarely on the occasional contest. Do you know what I mean? But like contests like that, what you're going to get back on it, is it worth it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. It's all about the value, right? I always say this to people because I win on boxing every year. It doesn't mean I win every bet. Yeah. It's not about that. It's about I keep a note. I keep a spreadsheet of all my bets. what the odds are, what I put on, and all I look at is the bottom line. Boom, profit. And that's it. That's all that counts. Like I said, like, you know, I ain't got much money now. So my bets are limited to £5, £10. But over the course of the year, I still won £1.5 grand last year. That's profit. Now, that's pretty sweet. If you have a scratch card, you win £1.5 grand. You'd be like, yes, mate. But, the problem is that most people that bet are addicts and they just want to bet on anything.
Yeah,
you know?
bet on anything.
What date is it? I'm just trying to find the odds. What date is...
I think, is it 20th of April? 20th of April?
Let's have a look here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, nice one. Yeah. The odds are not up yet on method of victory. Just the win odds are up. So they're what we said earlier. So yeah, Black Caller says I'm putting my money on Cameron. Yeah. Oh, you had him on your show, didn't you? Though Black Caller's got a channel, so check it out. So he had Liam Cameron on his channel. So
but he's definitely going to be up for it, isn't he, Cameron? He's going to really fancy it this time. He has got a chance. Got a good chance.
Yeah, and you know, you have to say that there's no doubt that Whitaker would have been shook up by that fight. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't expecting it. He was expecting to go to town on a journeyman type, weren't he?
Yeah, I think he was.
Otto, the oil tree wallet in the white quid. Hey guys, why are you hating on me? Just go back to your diversity. Go away. We like to take the piss out of Otto Wallin. There's a high standard of fans in boxing. For example, when people look down on boxers who aren't undefeated. Well, that's what you were saying earlier, weren't you, Mark? They're obsessed with undefeated records.
Yeah, I think like the promoters and the boxing press are the ones who drive it. You know, always talking about undefeated, and then the people buy into that, and like it just goes from there, doesn't it? Like if the promoters weren't so like up on defending an unbeaten record, though, and if it's like, oh yeah, we got beat, never mind, he's out again in 2 months, and if he gets back like a win, we're back on track. But the promoters are up undefeated records, then so does the boxing.
Yeah, somebody's always got to go and all this.
All
and they're obsessed with that, and it's a bit annoying because Ray Robertson had 20 losses in his career. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ali had 5 losses. You know, they might have come at a top level, or Marvin Hagler had early losses. Bernard Hopkins, I think, lost his debut. Joe Bugner got knocked out in a round in his debut. You know. You know, I agree with you. I don't like the one thing. Like, I mean, boxing is my sport, and I grew up with it because there wasn't MMA in my day. You know, but the one thing with the they did, you know, they do a lot of even matchups, and if you got a loss, it's not a big deal. It just happens. You know what I'm saying? And the fans know that. So yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think it's a bit of a shame, and it is about selling it to the casual fan because the problem is we're hardcore people. We'll watch any boxing, or not female boxing, but we'll watch boxing, be into it, and we'll be into it whatever. But the people that bring the big money, i.e. the big fights, and fill 80,000 people to watch George Groves get knocked out on his own leg or whatever, or Anthony Joshua in the stadium, you've got to get the casual fans in there to make the big money, don't you? Really?
It's like I remember getting told that the television, they would rather say someone 15-0 who isn't as good as someone who's 21-8.
Yeah.
But that looks better to the casual fan. So it's like, we know the other bloke's better, but this bloke's record looks better. Let's have him in, because then when they put it up on the telly, people go, "Oh, blimey, this bloke's good. He's like undefeated." They're not looking at his record and going, "Yeah, well, look at who he's beat." Like they're just looking at the figures, and so they buy into it without even realising.
It's too easy to fool the public, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
You know, not just with boxing, with everything. You know, 80% of the public will just accept what they're told. Yes, the women are as good as the men. Oh, the women are better than them. And you're just like, you know, it's just like, come on, man. You just repeat what they say on the telly.
I know.
All
they
the
don't
time.
realise, do they? That's the thing. They don't realise that they're getting their opinions because they're telling them what to think.
Yeah, but it's amazing how they program you and they brainwash you. They will sit there and watch the TV with a stupid look on their face, with their mouth open, their eyes just glued to the telly, and their brain will get programmed. The number of times I've been in the pub and like say women's football on, oh, they're better than the men, aren't they? I said, are you joking, man? I said, look, the USA team, the Australia, all them, the best teams in the world of women's football got waxed like 7-0 by 15-year-old lads from a local team. I said, you have no idea, man. Yeah. And I'm okay with women doing sports, but don't pretend it's as good. You know, there's some sports where women do like tennis. Like you get a 15-year-old club player wouldn't get near Serena Williams, but a 15-year-old amateur in boxing would probably bash up Ebony Bridges or someone like that. You know, like, it's a different thing, isn't it? Johnny Nelson lost his first 3 fights. I think he lost most of his amateur fights. He had a confidence problem, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he? And I remember I'd forgotten. Luckily, I missed the fight. I was a kid. I'd watch anything because back in the day there weren't that many channels, and there was Johnny Nelson versus Carlos de Leon, and I was like, "Oh no, I missed it." But I was, you know, it was good that I missed it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh dear. He had that style, didn't he? He was very negative, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? Very fit, loved the gym, and like had some ability, but just very negative, like a mental thing. Yeah,
it's a mental issue. But also, on the other hand, he'd go around the world and fight heavyweights. Yeah. He fought Addison Rodriguez. He fought Corey Sanders. Corey Sanders could bang, and he went the distance with Corey Sanders. It's quite weird. And then he was a huge cruiserweight, Johnny Nelson, massive guy with huge shoulders and tall. And
I think when he didn't have any pressure to win, he sort of went in there and done his thing. When he was expected to win, it was like, oh, hold on a minute. Like all of a sudden, people are expecting something of me. And he mentally sort of, it weren't until later on.
The pressure came on him.
Yeah, he's one of them.
What we need is Shane Bongos to get them. Where's Shane Bongos? Shane, get your shekels out, brother. He's probably got some woman on the go. Shane loves women, and he's always with women. But he comes on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen Shane on the show. He's a legend. I still need to put promoted by Shane Bongos, sponsored by Shane Bongos, the Triple B show. But Black Caller goes, Serena Williams even admitted tennis men's and female sport is different from serve speed to power. She said Andy Murray would wash her on the court. Well, obviously he would. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the standard of women's tennis is still super high, right? Like Serena Williams got beaten by a guy who's ranked number 300 in the world by a man, right? And quite easily. And the guy had apparently been on the piss the night before. But that's still a guy who's rated 300. That's not. You're not picking some guy off the street. You know what I mean? So without further ado, I don't know if you heard this quote. Oh, come on, Triple B. We all know Fran Hennessy is the Lomachenko of women's boxing. Do you know Gareth Davis? He actually said that. He's here. The legend is here. The legend. Look, it's like, what's that thing what's the thing? The Candyman. You say his name 3 times and he appears. Shane Bogler with the weird digits. Thank you, brother. Great to see you. I'm enjoying the show. I'm great you're here, brother. I'm sorry I was pressing you for cash money. But the Candyman. You say Shane Bogler 3 times and he appears. So what else have you got? Are there any sports where there ain't a big gap in men and women? As I said, I think tennis is probably the one with. Don't get me wrong; they cannot compete with the top guys, but Serena Williams might be able to beat the top 500 man, which, you know, in many I can't think of any others. Maybe something like, see, there's some sport. Obviously, men are much.
I'll tell you a sport where the women compete with men.
Rowing. Bowls.
Rowing with the cocks. The cocks at the front. The cocks at the front of the boat. They have some good cocks.
That's fair enough, but that's because they don't weigh very much, and all they do is give instructions.
Exactly, yeah.
But do you know the other thing, right? That's weird, right? You get sports like that are not. Obviously, men have got much more muscle and upper body strength. Boxing is all upper body, isn't it? But there are some sports like darts, snooker, things like that, where there's nothing to do with strength, and yet still the women can't come near. You know.
Yeah. What about gymnastics?
But that's a stupid sport, man.
They do well.
Yeah, but that's one of those weird sports that's down to interpretation. It's like just they do okay, but you know, I'd rather let John Fury tear my eye out than watch women's gymnastics, bro. It's not for me, man. It's my you know, what they do is really impressive. I can't do them flips, you know what I'm saying? But darts and snooker, but again, that's what I'm saying on my dad. Yeah, they can't really compete. There'll be one or two decent darts players, and then the best women's players are Transformer. You know what I mean? It's not really a woman, is it?
No, at all.
Yeah, it's what else did Gad say? Right? Yeah, you know, Gareth the Arsehole Davis. Right now, he's got. I don't know how he got the gig either. He's the Ben Shalom of journalism, because he used to be a polo, you know, the sport with the horses, and when so the Daily Telegraph polo correspondent, and then he moved into boxing and MMA because you realise there ain't no money and he says stupid things. Fran Hennessy is a Lomachenko. Even Bradley Skeet, the trainer, looked at the floor like that in embarrassment, and then he said Ebony Bridges is the no joke, you can look at this, you can find it online. Ebony Bridges is the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing. I mean, how can you say that with a straight face? How can you say that?
I didn't hear it, but yeah, it's pathetic, isn't it? But
I mean, he's an idiot and knows nothing about boxing. For some reason, he's ticked the right boxes, he's brown nosed the right people, and he's got a gig out of it, you know?
But that's like when they're doing anything to promote the product. So instead of just telling the truth, like you haven't got to be negative, but you can sort of tell the truth, but maybe put a positive spin on it, you know, just to sort of make it worthwhile to the people behind the scenes. But
these days, I think. Sorry, go on.
No, I was saying, so he's going over the top, and it's like, well, if you want to be taken seriously, at least be like half honest. Do you know what I mean? But,
and also, he's probably bright enough to know this is a bit of a game, and this will get. I might be saying something ridiculous, but this is going to get my name out there. Yeah, and they might all hate me and call me an arsehole, but I'm still getting the gigs. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And then now we're talking about him.
Well, exactly. You know what I mean? Well, we might be ridiculing, but we're still talking about him.
Yeah.
But and I used to see British boxing changed, I think, around Sky Sports. Before they used to, the British boxing was way more honest. And I mean, the refs, the judges, and the commentators. Jim Watt would call it as it is. Do you remember back in the day? Yeah. Whereas now, all you do is get Darren Barker watching some rubbish was what a beautiful jab, look at that jab. And there was some, I can't remember the woman who she was, something, she was rubbish anyway, and he was like, she's got a left hook like Fraser, and I'm just like, come on, bro. I know you want to keep your job and everything, but there are limits to this, man.
Yeah. Well, I think that like they're always looking for the positives because they don't want to be negative, but
yeah,
you know, I think sometimes as well the commentators talk too much, but I think they're told to. They don't like any dead air, do they? They don't like any quiet during the rounds, and sometimes, you know, we can see what's going on. You haven't got it's not a radio commentary. I think sometimes they talk too much, but that's not necessarily the commentator's fault because they've got an earpiece in and I think someone's in their ear telling them, say
okay,
something.
right. So you reckon they get fed a lot of the stuff by?
I think they're getting told like
the producer
they don't
or
want
something.
any dead space. I think that's what I heard. They don't want lulls in the talking. Like lulls in the they're encouraged to keep talking. I think.
Yeah, and to keep trying to convince. Because this is the one that I hate. Oh, this is an amazing fight. Oh, look, this is one of the best fights I've seen. I'm like, it's not bad, but don't, you know, because then they fool the normies into thinking that, oh, you know, they're programming their brain. Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think it started with Sky Sports though, and Adam Smith. He couldn't shut his mouth, and he knows nothing about boxing. He's very theatrical, actually. The way you know, but he has no insight in boxing. He knows nothing about boxing. He's got no background in boxing. He's been at the best fights at ringside, and he still doesn't know anything about boxing. It's nuts.
He's very enthusiastic, isn't he? He's like he's academically intelligent, and he's very enthusiastic. So he sort of he fits the bill, or he did anyway. But,
well, he does the zone, and he does that GBM Productions now. You know, but he the whole Sky thing was very weird. I'm not making any accusations, but I don't believe the official story. Let me just say that. Something happened, and you don't drop someone because they got cancer, and you don't, and you know, it's all a bit dodgy there, what's going on. And I think they wanted to bring in Ben Shalom, really. I mean, obviously Shalom ain't a commentator, but Adam was head of Sky Sports Boxing, you've got to remember. Whereas now it's Ben Shalom. And when Jonathan Licht came in, became director of Sky Sports, that's when he got Ben Shalom in, and he started to move him in as his boy. It's very suspicious. It's all politics, isn't it?
Yeah, that GBM have sort of come out of nowhere, and they're sort of getting about a bit, aren't they? I mean, it's
but they haven't really got any good fighters. And the thing, I find it. I don't know, right? But there's this huge lump. It's like Asian guy. I think is he Northerner? I'm not sure. He look. I mean, look. People say don't judge by the looks, but when I see him, I think gangster. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he looks like a big lump that rules his little territory. You know what I'm saying? But
it just makes you wonder where these firms come from, because there's all these small promoters out there putting shows on week in, week out, striving to get noticed, putting shows on, you know, doing their money supposedly, show after show, just looking for that break. And then they don't choose any of them, and they just choose a new one, like who's just started up. It's like they've just arrived on the scene, and already they're in the door. And you think, what about all these small promoters?
What's his name? Steve Goodwin. People like that. They never seem to get any TV. But I do think this is going to be, and there's been a lot of talk about this. People will say that a lot of these boxing shows, because there's a lot of cash involved, are used for money laundering, even at the big level. They launder and wash money through that. They used to say that they, you know, that was the rumor about what's his name, DK Kinahan, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I don't know, because no one's been busted for it, but you know,
it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we don't know what they're getting up to behind the scenes, but they're putting on a lot of shows. And you would think they're striving to get somewhere, and yet the next thing, an outfit comes out of nowhere and they get the gig. It's a bit odd, isn't it? I don't know.
This is an interesting question. Without further ado, he knows this boxing. We chat a lot. My dad always said the best way to watch boxing is with the sound off. I've heard people say that. They go, "Oh, well, if you don't like the commentary," but you lose the atmosphere. You lose the atmosphere. You want to hear the crowd shout, and occasionally, you know, there might be a decent interview between rounds. You know, to watch boxing with no sound, it's just too weird. I'd rather put up with a bad commentary, slate it in my videos, than turn the sound off. You know, I mean, would you watch boxing without any sound? It just seemed weird.
I've turned it down before just so you can hear them a little bit, just to, you know. But I know what you mean. You don't get the atmosphere, do you?
Nah. And you know, and like I said, the commentaries can be annoying, but you know, like the inter-round interviews and stuff can be interesting. They'll pull out someone who's a boxer and go, "What do you think? What do you think's happening?" and all that. I mean, they'll probably toe the line as well because they want to come back, you know.
Yes.
But everyone wants to protect their status. I remember Nigel Benn, right? He came on Sky Sports, right? And he was sitting in the studio. And they were just talking about a fight, and just goes, yeah, it was all right. It was all right. I don't think it was that great. It's nothing like the old days in ITV and all that. And he never got a gig again.
Yeah.
But I respect his, I respect a man who says it as it is. The only time I respected, well, that's not fair. I respect all pro boxers, but what I'm saying is, Chris Eubank Jr., he's a bit irritating, and he's living off his man's name. That's not to say he can't fight, but he's not at that level. But and he sat down in an interview. There's Warren Hearn and all these people, Wasserman. He's going, scumbag, Warren, scumbag. And I was like, I said, I know he's going to have to apologise, but at least he said it. But the stupid thing was, he goes, that's why I've gone with Shalom. And I'm like thinking, well, but hang on, mate, he's a scumbag as well. What are you talking about, mate?
Well, yeah, I don't know the background. I don't know his history with the other promoters, but maybe Shalom hasn't had him over yet, and he was insinuating the others had. I don't know, but I think he apologised, didn't he? He apologised.
Yeah, but he had to. He had to because the problem is if you upset. I'll give you a good example. Prince Patel. He's been on the show. He's a controversial character, but he's fun. He's you can discuss about whether his title's real, the IBO and all that, but he's still won Commonwealth and African titles, and you can discuss this and the other. But he was signed by Warren, and Warren wasn't giving him fights, so he left Warren. And I think if you upset the establishment, they'll close ranks and they'll push you away. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's someone that even if you're not linked to Warren, you'll still be like, we don't know this guy. You're rocking the boat. And consequently, Patel's been kind of frozen out, really. People are making fun of Adam Smith, and this fight is like Frazier, Ali, and there's the respect. What's that one? Adam Smith. This Natasha Jonas is the female Marvin Hagler, isn't she, Matthew? And he does say rubbish like that. Oh man. I mean, the thing is, right, the crazy thing is, he used to drive me insane. But when he left, I was like, there's part of me that misses it because I used to enjoy cringing at what he'd say. I'd be like, I can't believe he just said that, Okay, Don D.
It used to be good commentary.
Glenn McCrory.
Jim Rosenthal. Do you remember him?
Oh, I quite like Rosenthal. His hat's a bit small, though. He wears a small hat, but do you know... I really shouldn't say this. I don't want to dox myself, but I took his niece out once. She was like, "You like boxing? My uncle's Jim Rosenthal." I was like, "What?" Nah. I was like, "Get away from me!" But no, he was good. I like Jim Watt. I like Glenn McCrory, but they deliberately got rid of Glenn because he liked to speak a bit more truth. Okay, we've got a question. Dom Derek, tell me, do you think the commentator should be scoring rounds? It may not affect the end of the fight, but gives them an excuse to come up. It was a close fight. What do you think about this, Mark? I mean, I do think sometimes they push a narrative in the middle of the fight and they'll kind of back it with this. Sometimes you see, they'll choose almost who they want to win, and I'll just watch them. You often get like the promoter's fighter, and he'll be getting hit, and they won't mention it. They'll be going, "Oh, great shot by X," but they won't talk about Y's shots who just landed. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that happens because if you're watching it and the commentator is siding with someone, you think you're missing something, and you think, well, they must have seen something I missed. Like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and go with them on this one. Do you know what I mean? And they do often sway the public. And then if it's a terrible decision, the next thing you know, everyone's saying it's a terrible decision. But because they're being swayed by a commentator, and they don't even realise it.
And this goes back to what you said, Mark. The problem is, and even I find myself sometimes going, "Am I misreading this fight?" Because I don't see it like. But they will push narrative onto the people that don't really know, and they will just take it on board. I just want to talk because you got two books there, man, behind you. Do you want to show them to the people?
We've got this one here is this is the British Boxing Journal. It comes out every year. A fella called Raymond Lee compiles all the contests by British Boxing Border Control licensed professional. He brings it out every year. It's a good little book. I have an advert in it each year just to support it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and he brings that out every year at the end of January.
What's in it? Just all the...
It lists all the shows, so all the promotions throughout the year. It's got all the contests in it, and he also has a few articles. Some writers will do a few articles.
Right. It's got writings as well, because you remember they used to have the I can't remember what it was. They had the yearbook or whatever. They'd have all the contests.
Barry.
But now with the internet, it's a bit different. You know, you don't.
Yeah, so Barry Ugman used to do that yearbook.
That's right.
He done it for a good number of years, and I think he just lost the backing for it. It was a real big sort of project every year.
Yeah.
And I think he just lost the backing, and it fizzled out. But this is the nearest thing to it. Raymond Lee of the Essex Ex-Boxers Association, he sells them. He doesn't advertise them that much actually, but if anyone wanted one, I can put them. If they contact me, I can give them their details. Right,
and remind us of your website name.
Yeah, so my website is sweetsciencestudio.com. I've got a contact link on there and I get an email.
And you got all your social media at the bottom of it, haven't you?
Yeah.
So they can contact you just through that.
Yeah, that's it. My Instagram's at Masso_boxing. I'm on LinkedIn, but it's just I don't really go on it much. It's just there.
Sure.
And then I've got the Twitter as well, Masso Boxing.
So go make sure you like, subscribe to my man's social media. And the other one is a book. I haven't read it. COVID 1984. The pandemic. Right. Now this is red pill stuff, guys.
Yes, that's what that is. That's they call it an evidence-based investigation over the COVID years. It's quite interesting. Without pushing it on anyone, it's an interesting read. Whether and it's all evidence-based, and it'll tell you how everything panned out. It's good.
I haven't got one right next to me, but have you heard of something called the Light Paper?
Yes, I'm a subscriber.
So am I, man.
Yes.
Great, bro. I subscribe. I get 3 copies because I leave them on the bus and stuff like that. Because that's how I discovered it. I was in a bar and I was like, "What's this stuff?" I looked at it. I was like, "This is based, man." Yeah. And I was like, "And yeah, that's wicked." So the Light Paper. You can, I assume it. Search for it online. The Light Paper.
Yeah,
it's all written by. I mean, there's doctors there. There's guys that've been ostracized from the medical community because they've spoken out. It's everything's backed, like you say, by evidence.
Yeah, that's it. They use their own data against them, basically. Their own information. They use it against them. But it's a good read.
I mean, the problem is, right, because things like the pharmaceutical industry and the media are so powerful. If you speak out, you get ostracized, and you lose your job. One guy, I saw a program about a guy who was something. I don't really watch TV at all, but sometimes I'll just have it in the background, and it's something like not escape to the country, living off the grid or something. Yeah. And there's this couple, and they used to be vets, right? And this one guy spoke out about the industry, about how the vet industry push unnecessary treatments and this, that, and the other, and putting down dogs because they get a lot of money from it. And he got ostracized. He goes, all my friends from the industry stopped speaking to me. I had to leave the industry. And he went off grid. And then that's what happens. If you speak out against the mainstream narrative, they will, you know what I'm saying? But we know better.
I was talking to someone just the other week, a doctor who was refusing to give the old good news.
Jibber jabber. Yeah.
And she lost her job. She's now living in a shed. She refused to give it. She lost her job, and she's now living in a shed. She's basically homeless.
Poor woman. I hope someone sets up a GoFundMe. And also, I am so big up to her and big up to her courage, because you lose everything. Okay, back to boxing. What rising prospects have you noticed that haven't got much attention? That's an interesting one.
Rising prospect. He's not really a prospect, but Buatsi don't get a lot of airtime for someone who's like basically up there. He's not really a prospect now because you could say he's sort of cracked it, hasn't he? But
yeah, and he's on the verge of world title.
Yeah,
but like, are there any guys that you know that? I mean, someone might go Leon Willings, but you know, he did well against Whitaker. He was 7-0, I think, when he went in.
Yeah, well, I think someone like him might have. I'm just having a little look down here to see if there's anyone that you sort of look and think, why ain't he being pushed? But most of them, most of these you've sort of all heard of.
Yeah, it's quite hard, isn't it? Because of YouTube and this and that and the other, and there's so much big promotion now. You know, it's not like you don't really get them prospects coming through on small horse shows anymore.
Yeah,
you know, we used to get them back.
You got Hopey Price.
All right, okay.
He's not a bad prospect. He's doing all the right things.
Veltschwartz goes, Walter Fury. I don't think so, brother. I don't think Walter Fury's a prospect. Or what's the other one? Roman Fury. The only guy who can fight in the Fury family is Tyson Fury. Well, Huey's okay, actually. No, that's yeah, Huey's okay, to be honest. Tommy does this thing, but you know, he's you know, he's not going to do anything in boxing, is it? But he's got his thing, and so he should make the money while you're young. You know, I don't have no problem with that. Let's see. I missed so many comments. I always get behind on the comments. Let's see if there's something good and interesting. Oh, do you remember this, Mark? This is one of my favourite. I remember when Adam Smith said the bomber tattoo on Tony's back has nothing to do. What did he say? It is in no way related to the tragedy that unfolded at the Ariana Grande concert, but it's about his potent punching power. My mouth dropped. I was like,
is that what he said?
Yeah. Oh, mate, look it up. It's incredible. It's a Tony Bellew fight, and he's got bomber written on his back. And he goes, the bomber tattoo on Tony Bellew back is in no way related to the bombing of the. I mean, this is incredible, and it's also that's sacking stuff, and that's so disrespectful to.
Oh dear! I haven't heard that one.
No, have a look, mate. It's insane. Okay, without further ado, I rewatched Allen vs Fisher. Even the commentators had it for Allen. The live viewers score was 78% Allen, and they gave it to Fisher. It was disgusting. I put money on Fisher points because Allen's so tough, and I mean, I got something 7-1 or something, so I was happy with that. But yes, I believe he was robbed. Although Fisher's ear was busted up from an early, and that does your balance, doesn't it? Do you think they'll rematch? Do you think, if so, do you think Allen will sort of agree to take a payday and not try?
I don't think there'll be a rematch sort of anytime soon. But I think if there is, I think Dave Allen will try and win. I don't think he'll like play the game. I think he'll come to win. But I did see an interview. I'm sure he was saying in it. He said, like, I'm mates with Fisher. He said, I'm just reading that comment there, but he was.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, they were saying that he said Fisher's a mate of mine. He said, and as a mate, he said I wouldn't advise him to have the rematch. He went because I weren't 100% tonight. He said, and really, I probably deserve to win it. He said, if he has a rematch, I'll basically make sure I'm at 100%. He said, and it'll be a different contest. So, you know, I think they'll both want quite a lot of money if there is.
So yeah, we'll go. So I just saw this because I have to bring this up because I said I was talking about the light paper. So Neil Bates said light paper is controlled opposition. We all know what controlled opposition is. Yeah. They were defending the bullshit PCR, did they? I mean, I don't read it all the time. I didn't realize it. I can't remember that.
They done an article. They done an article in there about it, but I don't remember them defending it. I remember them mentioning it. I don't remember them defending it. I've actually got this month's. I've got this.
We know what he's talking about. We know what he's talking about. It's for Ben Shalom, apparently. So what is do you remember when Dylan White knocked off Dimitri Salitas' hat? You go, oh, it's funny when I knocked his small hat off, and then immediately he failed the drug test. That was very suspicious. But Right. Yeah,
I don't remember reading them defending it. I remember them writing about it, but I don't remember reading and thinking, oh, what are they saying here? I know they put a few things in there sometimes to try and even it out, or put a sort of the other side of the argument. They go on about that politician, the conservative politician who now thinks he's a freedom fighter.
You're right. I remember that.
So someone put something about defending him, but I think that was put right on that one.
Okay, we'll go back to boxing. Okay, Cisco Kid says Catterall is going to get knocked out by Barbosa. I think it's Barbosa. Barbosa is his name. What do you think about that fight? Any opinion?
I think Catterall won points.
I mean, that's most Catterall fights. I think I've watched him live, and he can punch, but he's very, and you know, I underrated him. Every fight, I've betted against him, and I lost a few fights because I sort of underrated him. But he's a very good boxer, and he has got power. You know, he put Taylor over quite heavily, and he was robbed there. But will Arnold Barbosa win? I've got to watch some Barbosa, you know, footage to be able.
He's another one, isn't he, Catterall? He's not a controversial figure, so he sort of just gets on with it. So he goes under the radar a bit. He can be underestimated, can't he? Because he's just a solid, like, world-class pro. Just goes about his work. He don't say anything outlandish. He's not sort of a big mouth. He just sort of gets on with it. And then
that's true. Funnily enough, you say that, because today I watched. I don't know what, I think I had YouTube playing on, you know, in the background, and there was a Catterall. I don't know what channel it was on. Catterall little snippet, and he was just taking the mick out. Oh, people say I'm boring, I don't do this, and they showed all highlights of him knocking people out and all that. So I think his manager or his agent has gone, look, man, you're gonna have to become a bit more controversial and take the mick, and and like you said, you do have to do that in the game. I just want to say I don't, because it's been you know, I could talk about this until 3 a.m. Red pill and boxing, but you've been on for 2 hours, so I want to say, you know, when you've had enough, please tell me.
Oh yeah, no, like when you're done, what we got going on here? See how much battery life I got going on. Yeah, no, I'm all right for a few. We're round.
Okay, just give me a shout when you want to eat your dinner or whatever. I could go on forever, man, because it's like Wilson the other night. If you're talking boxing and you know you're boxing and you're a boxing person, and also you're red pilled or you're clued up, then I can. These are the people I want to speak to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
I could speak all night about it. Chubby, do you remember the commentator Frank Buff? That what a wild degenerate. Yeah, this is an old school story. and this is back in the day. It was the 80s, right? And he was wearing women's underwear and doing cocaine and smashing prostitutes. And he was on Good Morning TV. They probably made him do that because, you know as well as I do, part of getting ahead, you have to do some things that you can be blackmailed for. That way, you will be controlled, right? That's what Epstein was all about, right? Getting people, it's a sort of, and they will make all these guys do humiliating stuff, like Oscar getting busted in women's underwear, and that you cannot tell me for a minute that came out naturally. And also, I remember seeing that, right? And everyone's going, "Oh, it's photoshopped," and he was sitting there wearing boxing gloves, and I'm saying, "I'm sorry, I can't see a position where." He was with some hookers, and the hookers are, oh, why don't you wear some boxing gloves and wear women's underwear? We'll take a picture. As if someone at that level, that well known, would go, sure, that's a great idea. You know, and you know, that I believe that was one of the blackmail situations, and he stepped out of line,
possibly,
and they humiliate him and say, look, Oscar, remember what we've got. You don't mess around, man. But he's a funny one, isn't he?
Possibly. They say they like to have stuff on them, don't they?
Yeah, I mean that's the way you buy people. That it's like, you know, that's the way you control them. It's a classic trick, the old trick of blackmail. You have something on someone, and then you've got them, and then you have to do what they're told. You know, how much of it happens in boxing? More than I think people realize. My boy, I'm enjoying proper boxing and red pills. I like the balance of both. Yeah, cool, man. I think it's what makes the channel different. I hope. That's probably why I'm shadow banned. Well, it's definitely why I'm shadow banned. No one, they can't handle the truth. They can't handle it, and they hate it, man. You know?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Black Hawk Oscar got extorted for years by them pictures by some LA guys. Yeah, I heard that as well. But there's no way you allow a hooker to take those pictures of you. It doesn't matter how much cocaine you've done. You don't think, hey, Oscar, put some gloves on as well, and get in a boxing pose, and oh look, here's some Victoria's Secret underwear. Sure, it sounds like great fun. I mean,
yeah, it's like when was that ever a good idea? Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
Well, it even got worse because Oscar carried on, and there was pictures of him in the kitchen with I don't want to even. It makes me sick. Kitchen utensils being stuffed up in the wrong place. I mean, come on, man. Never good. I'm watching red pills, but I like a bit of boxing knowledge. I like it. Well, we got both here, bro. Oscar has autogynephilia. What is that, man? It sounds dodgy. I don't want it.
Ricky ain't he had a 6-pack put in, hasn't he?
Oh, that's right, a fake 6-pack. Yeah. And he's on. I was skipping through Instagram, right, and he put his picture up himself of him with his face red like Freddy Krueger, and I was like, what is going on? And he had some special face mask to make his skin look younger or something. They chemically burn your face.
Yeah.
I was like going, why would you want to come out and say that? And he's so camp. I go, oh, you had my face all done, and now it looks so good. It looks red now, but I'll be looking like the man. I'm like, I always thought he was camp, but now he's like super camp. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, he is.
It's like he don't know what to do with that money. It's like he don't know what to do with it. Do you know what I mean? Like he's had that 6-pack put in, hasn't he? And it's like whatever possessed him to do that, but he's got so much money. He's like just experimenting all the time, isn't he?
Well, I think, but there's a level. I mean, listen, man, you can give me all the money in the world, and I'm not getting dressed up in women's underwear. I'm not getting a kitchen utensil stuffed up my butthole, and I'm not wearing a pair of boxing gloves for a hooker. So, there's limits, brother. I know what you mean. Like, some people theorize that, the problem with these celebrities, they've got too much money and too much time, so they get up to crazy shit. But I'm like saying, listen, man, I haven't, I've been periods in life when I've done all right with money, and I was young, and there's loads of women, but I never did anything weird. Like, I just enjoyed going to nice restaurants, nice clubs, nice bars, and I'm different now, but rump up nice women. But I'm not getting in women's fucking underwear, So I don't really buy that, man. I think it's partially the. I think it's partially the blackmail thing, and partially that some of these guys are just degenerate, disgusting pigs.
Yeah, there's that.
You know what I'm saying?
There's that, maybe.
I mean, look at it. I mean, there's like I'm going to do a video. It's going to be a bit dark, but I'm doing a video on boxing criminals, which is fine. Normal criminality is fine, but also there's been all these horrible cases. Carlos Baldemir, Alex Hilton, noncing up there and kids and stuff, just gross stuff. And there will always be freaks and nutters in every society, right? Well, I mean, unfortunately, and half of our parliament are nonsense anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think probably more than half, and the ones that are seem to get the positions of power, don't they? When you look into it. I mean, it's, the ones that go into it sort of with a genuine sort of purpose don't get anywhere. It's all the wrong ones that get all the positions. Yeah,
and the reason is there's two reasons, right? I was reading the other day, and I read a number of different reports on this, like psychopaths. I don't mean necessarily serial killers, but narcissists and psychopaths. They'll do anything to get money. So, and the biggest ones, the 5 biggest are CEOs, coppers, lawyers, surgeons. I can understand surgeons because cutting up a man's body, you've got to have some coldness, and government at any level. That's local government and I think the blackmail thing as well. You see, if you do something absolutely out of order and disgusting, not only does it prove it means that you can be blackmailed by the higher powers who are financing you, but also it shows you'll do anything for power and money. You'll do anything for power and money, and that's why you get all these shady, disgusting people who run the world because they're willing to do anything. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Revolution. We need a revolution.
But there will only be a revolution though because we've got no guns in this country, and in most of the Western world, and even places like America who have got guns ain't doing nothing. But they will. You've got to get the army on side. Firstly, you've got to get most of the people to realise the truth, which is hard enough, and then you've got to get the army on side, because if you don't have the army on side, the army just comes in and you've got military rule, haven't you? You know.
Yeah.
And that's going to be tough. Gorion has answered my question. Autogynephilia is a paraphilia. That paraphilia means a kind of perversion, right? A sexual perversion, right? Where men get aroused by dressing or imagining themselves as women. Most trans women are consumed by this paraphilia. I mean, all these so-called things that they're pushing as normal were, and obviously mental illnesses, and were always considered, even by the World Health Organization, as being mental disorders. But now apparently it's completely normal. You know, it's crazy how they can convince people of anything. Anything they will convince the population, the idiots of. They convince them of anything. I was only going to say half of Parliament were nonsense. Only half of them were nonsense. The other half are just normal perverts. You know what I'm saying? Right. This is exactly what we are saying. They get these positions because they can blackmail and control, and that's the key. So let's get back to boxing, because we do both here. Ricky Hatton's face is like a smashed up, bust up brick wall. That's slightly cruel, but I mean, he's not oil painting. But yeah, Ricky, I used to really love Ricky. He was one of my at his time when he was coming up. He was one of my favorite fighters. Exciting, the body shots, and he was fighting often. But once he became world champion, he would just get just drink and get fat, and it affects it. You know, when you're fighting twice a year and you spend 3 months getting fat, and then 3 months all you're doing is losing weight in training camp. I
think he was the first one who made it acceptable to get really out of shape between contests. Before that, like most boxers stayed in the gym ticking over. Yeah, not going mad, but doing something. Do you know what I mean? Whereas he made it fashionable to, if you wasn't training for a contest, you don't need to be in the gym. And
you're right.
Really, now that's become like a little bit of a lifestyle. If people ain't got a contest lined up, a lot of them, they're not in the gym. And like I've said to people before, like try and talk about Marvin Hagler and all that. Find a fat photo of Marvin Hagler when he was boxing. You won't get one. But Sugar Ray Leonard, I know, like to find a fat picture of them. Going back further, find a fat picture of Rocky Marciano, who's an heavyweight. So, I mean, they tick those.
Where's your fat Jack Johnson? Where's your fat Jack Dempsey? I mean, obviously, they used to fight more in those days as well. You know, more often. So they didn't have. You know, some guys now. I looked at who is it? And I would like to ask you about this. Terence Crawford, and they're talking about him fighting Canelo. But I did a video and I looked at Crawford's record. I was like, he's only had 5 fights in 5 years. And if you look at his resume, it's not that great. And he's moving up to super middleweight. It seems like a weird fight to me. People say, oh, he's so talented, but he is good. But they're also sort of repeating what they've heard. You know, what his biggest wins? Amir Khan was done by then, and he's Amir Khan. He's chinny anyway. Errol Spence had a massive car crash, and he wasn't right. You know, he beat Madrimov, but that was close. And he's 37, and I think I just think it's. And some people go, nah, he'll beat Canelo. I'm like, come on, man. Surely, what do you think?
I don't think he will. It's just whether Canelo thinks that he can stop him at any time. The rounds get away from him, and he leaves it too late, and he runs out of time and loses on points. If he goes in there, like, because I feel like he done that with Billy Joe Saunders. It was as if he knew at any time he could put his foot down and stop him. And Saunders looked like he was having some bit of success, but as soon as he put his foot down, he done him. And I feel like he might have that sort of attitude. I think he'd be too big and strong. Like,
Canelo's very patient, isn't he? He doesn't like to take risks. If you look at something like his last 6 fights have gone the distance. I mean, I can't remember the last time he stopped someone spectacularly. There's Eric Kirkland, that's ages ago. Amir Khan, but come on, Amir Khan.
Yeah.
And Amir Khan is moved up in weight. You know, he stopped Caleb Plant in the 11th, and that's the last one I can remember.
He's very confident in his ability to get you out there eventually, and maybe it could backfire. Do you know what I mean? Like if he just thinks, "What am I going in with this fella for?" He started out at like 9 stone 9 or whatever he was. Like I can take this fella out, and he's not panicking. So he's 5-6 rounds down. He's not panicking. Before you know it, he needs to stoppage to win, and he's panicking. But on the face of it, he should take him out, shouldn't he? Do you know what I mean?
I think it will be a points. I think it will go distance, and I think it will be a. I mean, like you said, Canelo. You'd think because of the size advantage, he might think I can take this guy out, but he's always so careful. Canelo now. He used to take more risks, but he's very careful. He's a very good fighter, but he's a very. I would safety first. He's not boring, but he is a bit safety first. He doesn't.
He's taken his foot off the pedal a bit. I'll tell you what it might be like. Do you remember the Mikey Garcia? When he went up in weight and lost for the first time. Was that against Spence? Was it Spence he lost to?
I think it someone like that. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. He went up. Was it lightweight to welterweight, unbeaten, and it backfired. I think who that was against.
Let me have a look. I'll have a look. I'm having a look as we speak. Mikey Garcia, right? I mean, I never really rated him that highly anyway. It's just, you know what, the American press, they love their Mexican fighters because there's so many Latinos.
They got behind it, didn't they? Yeah.
Right. And you know, they buy a lot of pay-per-views. They're a big boxing community. So any half decent Mexican or Mexican American, they'd love to push. So yeah, Mikey Garcia. So he's got a good record, but he lost to Errol Spence. You're dead right.
Yeah.
And then Sandor Martin, the Spanish dude, and then he retired.
Like because the Errol Spence fight, everyone was saying like, why are you jumping 2 weights? But I can imagine the money was there. They're throwing a load of money at him, and he went, "Sod it, I'll take it." And it's not quite the same because Crawford's sort of a different level, but is he sort of overstepping the mark? It's like.
I think one of the best comparisons is, you know, like Mayweather, when he was at the lower weights, he was actually quite exciting. He had some good fight and he'd stop people and that. But as he moved up, he gave real safety first, didn't he? Yeah. Well, it was that Diego Corrales, or you know, he would take people out. And I had Manfredi. You remember Manfredi, the Puerto Rican guy with the white guy? He was white, but he's Puerto Rican. And with all the tattoos, El Diablo or whatever. I used to quite like him. He got done in 2 rounds by Mayweather. You know? Yeah,
he went in with a different attitude, didn't he? But as he went up the weights, he changed his sort of mindset.
I just want never get the 1920s had the degenerative to it. Yeah, it's called the Weimar Republic, bruv. Yeah, and we can't talk about this too much because you know we know why, but you know it's restricted. But absolutely. Oh, I've got Mossad here. It only counts on the covers. Thank you, Miss. How is the weather in Israel, brother? But only counts on the covers. Obviously, he's having a laugh. Mikey Garcia got 20 mil for that fight. He cashed in out and retired. Well, he's clever then, in which case, because he didn't end up punch drunk. You know, boxing is a very dangerous game, and I repeat this over and over again. But truthfully, man, these guys are risking their health, their long-term health as well. You know, and if you could get paid a lot and retire at the right time, like Hagler's the perfect guy. He never he would have got millions to come back and have a rematch against Sugar Ray. He's like, no. Even though he got robbed and he was bitter, well, he reckons he got robbed. I actually think you could have Leonard winning by a round or 2. You know, you could go for Hagler. I don't know. What did you think? What do you think about
Leonard? I thought Leonard won it on points.
I thought he edged it. Yeah.
I thought he deserved it. I know there was that little bit. Was you taken in by the fact that he done so much better than everyone thought he was going to? But I did think he deserved it.
I think he edged it. You know, Hagler lost a lot of the early rounds. That was the problem. And then he picked it up. What have you got going on in your house, bro?
No, I had.
You see the ghost? You see the ghost?
No, I had a book. There was a book written about it, about that contest. I was just trying to.
Oh right.
I was just trying to find it. Can't see it. I've got a book about that contest. It's a good one.
Really? No, tell us what it is. What are your favorite boxing books? Can you remember off the top of your head? I've got a whole bunch, and they're downstairs. So I can't remember.
The one I like that I haven't read for ages, but read it years ago, In This Corner by Peter Heller.
Right, I haven't read that. I want to put that down so I remember it.
In This Corner by Peter Heller. He interviews. Let me see if I can find that that book I'm talking about. Here it is. This book here. This one. In This Corner by Peter Heller. That's a good one. This book here by Brian Dugan. It's all about the lead up to the fight.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that book. No.
There's a good one. And the best thing about it, there's a picture of me in it.
No.
Where?
Me. Show me.
There's me next to Marvin Hagler.
No way.
Yeah.
You had a lot of contact with the Marvelous Marvin. You know, he changed his name, didn't he? Legally, he changed it to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's kind of funny. He did movies as well. He moved to Italy for a bit. He had a good retirement. It's such a shame what happened to him. He retired at the right time. He retired with money. He kept his money. He got a new wife. He had a good life, and
I know it's a shame, really. But this fella wants to know who wrote that.
Yeah,
book.
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Simon Logoff.
That sounds like a pseudonym. That sounds like a pseudonym to me. Yeah,
it's going under the radar.
There you go, Nevergoon. Tommy goes, when's the Cobbleman movie come out? What's the Cobbleman? What is that? A movie about bare knuckles? Tell us more about it, man. Nevergoon says thank you to Mark. Yep, cheers, Mark. Cheers for that. I was going to ask you another boxing question. I told you my memory's not that good. But this is what I was going to ask you about. Right, this is really interesting. So there's a book that came out, and you know Brendan Ingle's considered a bit of like a saint, right?
Yeah.
But you know how and in the press, I go, I haven't treated him like rubbish. He should have stayed with him. But I've heard the other side of the story, right? Which is that Brendan was taking 25% as manager and trainer out of him. That's a lot. That's huge, right? And when he's getting, when Hamed's getting the £10 million paydays, so you know what, he's got to give Brendan £2.5 million just for like holding the pads. And apparently Brendan, would tell him to come in when he's training the amateurs. You go, wait there, Naz, and all that. And it's like, well, hang on, mate, you're getting £2.5 million. You should be training me and me only when I'm here. So I actually, even though I don't think Hamed's a nice guy, I think he mistreated people. I can get that he wanted to reduce the percentage because 25% is massive for a trainer, basically. Yeah,
I know it's tricky, isn't it? Because I remember watching an interview with Brendan Ingle when Hamed was on his way up, and he was saying at the moment you're giving me X amount of percentage. He said, and it's not really a lot of money. He said, but you do. He was saying you do realise as your wages go up, you'll be giving me more. The percentage might be the same, but you're going to end up giving me more. And it was a bit like, do you know what I mean? You could it was sort of thinking, that's going to be a lot of money. But I suppose he done all them years for peanuts, and then he thought to himself, well, now I'm sort of going to cash in. But he must have made some decent money, Brendan, because Hamed was a massive star, the best paid British guy, one of the best paid British guys at the time. Obviously, the heavyweights. Maybe Lennox or Bruno got more, or Ben, but I think the 25% is. I've talked to some trainers in real life and stuff about Hamed's sons. Have you seen any of them box? I've seen one of them. The one Adam. Yes. I think he was into tennis. He was never into boxing. It was always about tennis growing up. And all of a sudden, he's now a boxer. But he's going to get chinned spectacularly. Yeah. Did you watch the first fight? He fought a literal 17-year-old who looked at me, dragged out of the glue-sniffing Romanian sewers. I don't know if you've seen that YouTube video. It's nuts. It's about a guy who calls himself Bruce Lee, right? And he lives in the sewers with all these young kids, and they're all addicted to drugs and glue. It's like, honestly, I felt like I was watching
hell. And he ended up getting done for prostituting kids and all that. But it was like this kid they dragged out, this Romanian kid. You know, he had the body of like a kid who'd never been in the gym. He was 17. Yeah. He bashed him up and around. I was like going, come on, man.
Yeah.
And Adam Hammer's jumping up and down. And I'm like, come on, man. Be serious.
The only thing you can hope is that they don't sort of big him up too much and embarrass himself by saying how good he's going to be, because I mean it's very early days yet. They're going to have to do a right careful job on him, aren't they?
Well, it's not even just that. I just don't think he's that good. And he's been trained by good trainers. You know the Manchester trainers, Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis.
Yeah.
So he's, you know, but what's the expression? You can't polish a turd. If you can't fight, you can't fight. It doesn't matter who you've got training you, you know. And I'm not saying he's bad, but he's got every advantage under the book, and he's not gonna, you know.
He's a raw novice, and he's gonna have to learn his trade in the limelight, isn't he? He's got he's gonna have a magnifying glass on everything he does, really.
Yeah. But he will have, you know, like he will have been like Campbell and Hatton. You know, he gets the best of everything. They don't work, or they train like world champions because they have all the time in the world, and but yet they're still rubbish. You know, you remember like Campbell Hatton, I think it was his second fight. His walk-in, his preliminary was Dimitri Bivol vs Craig Richards. Well, that was the walk-in fight for Campbell Hatton. And Adam Smith was there. And the hairs on the back of your neck are standing up. When blew me, I was just sitting there with my head in my hands, going, "Man."
I know. It makes me wonder where he's going to go next. He's had 2 losses at area level.
Yeah.
And like, I don't really know how much more they can get out of him. So he's another one. He's an honest pro. You can tell he lives the life, trains hard, but he just ain't got.
Yeah, but he trains hard. But if you were a normal area level fighter, you'd have a job in a warehouse. You wouldn't have all the top supplements, food, training, and all that stuff that Campbell Hatton has. And you know, you're working in a warehouse, getting up at 6 a.m. and then going training. You know, and you know. So I have to say, I respect anyone who gets in the pro ring, but some people have so many more advantages, but they're still rubbish. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. It's just it's. Like you said, he's he's the boxing equivalent of a silver spoon in his mouth, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? But he doesn't look like he's going to make it. But I don't know how much they're paying him. A lot.
And he can't do much. They can't pay. I mean, obviously the name, but you know, they can't pay him that much because and I don't know how who did he fight for? Hearn, I think it was. And surely anyone who'd watched him. Fight, spar, whatever, be like, this guy's not going that far. You know, he lost to Sonny Martinez, who was a guy who had a losing record, clearly by 5 rounds to 1. I think it was Sonny Martinez, and you know, and I remember he shut down his Twitter because he was getting rinsed so much. But he even said, "Yeah, I know. I won that fight on points." It's like, mate, you got schooled by a guy who. I
had a fella, funny, Tom Ansell boxed. Campbell Hatton. Tom Ansell was with me when he first turned pro. He had his first few with me, and then I got a detached retina. I had to have a break from it,
right.
And he ended up moving back to where he was originally from. At the time, he was living near me, so it worked out. But he ended up moving back home, and he ended up going with someone else, and it worked out for him. He had a good little run.
I remember that. I remember you managed that lad because I was looking through it. You know, your Insta. Yeah, I saw that.
He fought Campbell Hatton a few bouts back. But Tom Ansell was raw. He was raw novice. He come from the unlicensed scene.
Yeah.
He had like an handful of bouts on the unlicensed scene, and he ended up going the distance with Campbell Hatton, who they was trying to sort of groom as a bit of a star. Do you know what I mean? And he didn't win, but he gave him a good go, and he was like a very sort of a raw pro, really. And Campbell Hatton, if he was going anywhere, he could have made a statement there, but he didn't. Do you know what I mean? And it sort of showed you where he was at, really. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Tom gave it a good go. He was always fit. He was up for it, but he was only a beginner, really. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas Campbell Hatton, they was trying to sell you as like the next big thing ish.
And Hatton had at least 30 amateur fights.
Yeah,
he
had a bit of a career.
I mean, Rocky Marciano had 9 amateur fights.
Yeah,
if you want to make a comparison,
yeah,
it's not a fair comparison, but
yeah.
Oh, Disco Davis, Moses Atama. Do you think when he gets hit by a decent fight, he'll end up like his brother? Like Carroll got sparked, didn't he, by a guy who was brought in to lose? I mean, you don't know really. I mean, they're different guys.
He ain't been it, has he? So
no.
He just ain't been it. And
but he's got that big heavyweight head, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's got that big head.
Is he good enough that he ain't gonna get it until he's past it, or he might be out of older shot? They all say how good he is in the gym. You don't ever hear of people saying he don't perform in the gym, do you? I know it's only sort of gym talk, as they say, but there's no stories out there where he's getting banged over. But
no, that's true, and he has sparred all the top guys. You know, he sparred Fury, didn't he? He sparred Joshua. He sparred these guys. You know, and you don't get no stories like you said. Like you said, they're always hearsay. You never know. But you know, if you listen to the gym stories, Anthony Joshua gets knocked out every time he spars. You know what I mean? Yeah. He has been knocked out by David Price, no doubt, and Joey Whitaker definitely knocked him out before the Ruiz fight. But Daniel Dubois claims to put him over heavily. Well, he actually did it in real life as well. But you just don't know, do you? No, but to me, Atama's got that big head on his shoulders. And what you said about him. Will he only get hit later on? I mean, when you're a heavyweight, you always get hit at some point with a big shot. You always get hit by someone with a big shot. So, okay, what are we at? We're at 2 minutes 25. Okay, we'll go 2 hours, and it goes so quickly, don't it? At the time when you're chatting about boxing and stuff. So we'll do another 5 minutes if that's cool, and then call it a day. It's been super having you, man. You know, and like I said, remember to check out Mark's social media, his website. If you're in Essex, go and train, do some PT sessions, you know, and yeah, man, you know, we can you're always welcome on the show at any times, man, because
that's it. I mean, I've been on here now, so if you give it a couple of months, they might I'll come back on, and they might ask us a few other things. We'll have something else.
You can bring your boy along as well, Peter.
Oh yeah.
No, seriously. I mean, like I said, I had Wilson on yesterday. I'm saying, look, man, if you want any of your boys to come on, you know, just because obviously this show is a niche show and it's cult-like, and you know, like obviously I'm a bit controversial, so the big names will be like a bit scared. You know, I did get Sonny Edwards on, and Prince Patel's been on. Yeah. You know, Sonny Edwards, you know, he's a world champion. He's well known. You know, but I had him by the balls, but he tried to stitch me up, didn't he? Yeah. But yeah, he still came on the show, and he was quite a good value. And some people were like, "Oh, you sell out." I said, "Nah, come on, everyone's allowed a chance." There's a good Sonny Edwards and a pain in the ass Sonny Edwards. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's got two sides to him, isn't he?
No, that's it. That's it. Yeah, he knows how to sell himself, doesn't he?
For a flyweight who can't punch, he did okay, didn't he? And now he's got fighters. You know, he manages and trains fighters, and he's always on the commentaries or giving, you know, inter-round stuff. So, and he's retired now. This reminds me, one more question then about boxing. So, I don't know if you read, I'm sure you did, in Boxing News last week, and also it's been in the papers. The Birmingham police are investigating a fixed fight, right? Yeah. And that means it has to be to do with betting. Now, I'm going to do a video on this when I got time. So I thought it's in 2024, so it's last year, right? If the Birmingham police are investigating it, it's got to have been a Birmingham fight, surely. Yeah. Right? So I was like looking through all the fights in Birmingham, and I was going, it's got to be a half big decent fight, because if it involves betting, you know, you can't bet on a 4-rounder on a Steve Goodwin bill. But so you have to have some, and I was looking and I thought, Sonny Edwards Gaffai, and I went, that was in Birmingham. And I'm like, I don't think it is necessarily him. But I was just like, that's a bit suspicious. You remember, because Sonny's like in the corner going, can I be real with you, bruv? I don't want to be here, innit? And I was a bit suspicious. That's a very weird thing to say. Yeah. And the stoppage I thought was a bit weak. But he just clearly didn't want to win Sonny that night. Now, I'm not saying that's the fight they're investigating. But
makes you wonder. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I see the story. But they didn't mention who it was, and it was 2 men and a woman, wasn't it? I think it was arrested, but I ain't got to. You might have a point there, but yeah.
Did you say sorry? Two women got arrested.
I think it was 2 men and a woman.
Oh, 2 men and a woman, right?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, none of the names have come out yet, and they won't. I haven't seen any chat about it because it's not a big enough story. But I was looking through and I'll look through more of the Birmingham fights, but it's got to be, mind you, there was an irregularity. I find it hard to pronounce the word irregularity with the Dorian Darch Dave Allen fight, which is not a big fight. There was betting on that fight though. They did put on prices, and the bookies refused to pay out because there was he'd done Darch in the 4th round, and it said that he carried Darch to the 4th round to knock him out, and there was some irregular betting patterns, so the bookies didn't pay out. Nothing happened. The boxing board allegedly investigated it, and they're not doing anything. Yeah. But so it can happen at any level, really.
I mean, if everyone denies it, how are you going to prove it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like you've got to have evidence. It's all about evidence, right?
Yeah.
You know, you might, whoever's investigating, the coppers or whatever, who I don't trust, obviously, but they might know, but you have to prove it. You can't. And also, with all respect, like, you know, it's not good for boxing to have fixed fights, but it happens, and it's not a big crime to crack. It's not murder, is it? You can't spend a lot of time investigating a bloody fixed fight in boxing, you know.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's happening in all sports, isn't it? So why not boxing? You know what I mean, it's happening everywhere.
It's obviously happening in boxing. It's just, I mean, I'm suspicious about the David Morrell Benavidez fight. I'm suspicious about Otto Wallin fight. I made videos on that. I mean, there are fights when you see guys, they just don't try. And that's the easiest way. You know, it's not like the films. You got to go down in the 4th round, except maybe the Dorian Darch one, actually. Yeah. But, you know, but it will just be about, and Mark Butcher in Boxing News wrote this good thing. He goes, you can bet on any market now. So all you need, if you bribe one ref, and now it's a split decision, and you put money on split decision, which was 18-1, you can make some cash money.
Yeah, I know.
But, okay, we'll read a couple more comments and then turn it in. I've enjoyed all the lives that's come up. This new style with proper people from boxing are brilliant. I'm learning a lot and having a good laugh at the same time. It's great. I mean, it's been great to have you on, brother. I backed that 100%. The Wilson fight was great. Live was great. You know, so yeah, I mean, you know, if you got anyone that wants to come on the show, give me a shout. We can get your boy on the show. We can, you know, we're on Insta. We're talking all the time. So, but it's been super to have you here, mate.
Yeah, and it's good to speak to you.
2.5 hours. Like I said, like Wilson, it goes so quickly when you're talking about things you like. But and I'll ask you one more question, which is the same I asked Wilson. What are you eating tonight?
I'll tell you, I've had it already. It was kebabs from the butchers.
Oh,
it was
what, shish or doner?
It was chicken shish and lamb shish. I've had it already.
Mate, no, because I always say this. When you go for kebab, don't get a doner. Wait, it takes 10 minutes more, but get a shish. It's so much better. It's real meat. It's real meat. It's not like, I mean, who knows what's in a doner? Apparently some poor girl was cut up and put in a doner.
I'm not sure, but she's from Blackpool, wasn't she? I don't know. But
no, I mean, that's the rumor. I mean, that's pretty horrifying. But obviously, you look at the elephant's leg and you don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
But with a sheesh, and also it's so much better with the chunks of meat, man. Yeah. You made me hungry. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to make my own sheesh.
These are good ones. It's good to speak to you anyway. We'll keep in touch, and I'll come back.
Of course. God bless you. Thank you for coming on.
Cheers.
Thank you for everyone who gave. You know, go and enjoy your evening, brother. And I'm just going to talk a bit more. Thank you so much. That was great, wasn't it? Did we like that? Well, Otto looked like he's pulling his punches, So we're going to say thanks to Tommy Gunn for the 2-1. Best comeback since Vinny Paz. Viva Chittery, thank you. Vel Schmerz, 333. Obviously, the legend Shane Bongs was 666. Thank you guys for your generosity. I hope you enjoyed the show. I don't know when I'm next doing it live. Tonight is the Keyshawn Davis fight on a Friday, weirdly. What is it? Not Sergei Lipinets. What's the guy called? Deris Berincic. On the undercard, Connor Coyle is fighting a guy called Vito Mileneski. And Mileneski's been made out to be a prospect. I put 15 quid on Coyle. He's apparently very well rated. Up to you what you do. It's your money. Great stream as always, Chubby. Thank you, brother. Disco Dave, you're the grandmaster of the chat. You posted the single most ridiculous comment I've ever seen. For that, I remember you fondly. What comment was it? Was it the Jimbo used to make winners suck? I missed this one. Don't disrespect Jimbo. Jimbo used to make the winners suck his curry on the speed bump. Right. I'm going to have to shoot you for that, Disco Dave. Black. Don't disrespect Jimbo. Black. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for the super chats. Disco Dave. Odd fellow should get a sponsor from Cadbury Dairy Milk, the order. No, mate. Dairy milk's too light for him, man. He wants Bourneville. He wants dark chocolate blood, believe me. But thank you guys. Much love. No homo, no diddy. And we'll see you guys soon, man. I hope you enjoyed the live. Peace in the Middle East.